Warrior Lore. Chapter 162. Extort a Confession. Chapter 162. Extort a Confession. The next morning, the boat finally landed on Cloud's Island. Upon arriving, Yin parted with Linda and left alone. Standing on the deck, Linda silently watched Yan's disappearing back. Jet shot a yellow signal flare, and with Nano and the others, waiting for someone from the Goo family to come pick them up. Linda really cares about that guy. We even don't know who he is or what he is doing here. Poor Linda. Obviously, that guy loves to sleep around. I'm afraid Linda will never see him again. Exactly. I never expected that even a woman as powerful as Linda could not keep him for herself. If I could win Linda's love, I'd do anything and everything for her. I would never leave her. Yet, this is for the best. For us, as long as Linda is here, our life in the Three Gods sect will be fine. That's right. Jet and the others were whispering while waiting for the Goo family. Linda was standing on the deck. Her long hair dancing in the wind made her breathtakingly beautiful. Carmen, staying in the corner, was looking at Linda while gritting his teeth, feeling quite happy. The bitch deserves this. She gave him everything, and look at what she got in return. The guy took what he wanted and just left. This is what she asked for. Indeed. Hodger was also full of hatred, whispering, Carmen, we don't know who that guy is and why he went to Cloud's Island. Will he do something bad to Goo family? Should we tell the Goo family about him? Maybe they will know who he is and will deal with him. Carmen frowned, meditated for a while, and then he shook his head, said, No, not for now. Besides his name, we know nothing about him. There's not enough information for us to identify him. Let's wait until we have something on him. Then I will not only deal with that guy, but also Linda. Hodger agreed. Yin was heading to the south side of Cloud's Island by himself. Cloud's Island was about half the size of Tianyun City. Although the island belonged to the Goo family, most of the warriors and residents on the island were not members of the family. The Goo family occupied Cloud's Island. They took possession of the 3 mines on the island and made the regions they thought were valuable into forbidden areas reserved only for the Goo family, where other warriors and residents of the island could not enter. Every few years, the warriors living on the island had to hand in money and goods to the Goo family for the right to live on the island, while the residents on the island had to hand in goods and coins to the warriors. There was a rigid hierarchy on the island. The south side of Cloud's Island was where the base of the Goo family was. There were dense forests, numerous pools, and lakes. It was very beautiful and had very few inhabitants. Yin intended to go there to see if there was any chance for him to find Goo Swordsong, the person with whom he would settle the issue they had on Monroe Island while waiting for someone from Yang family. Yin had learned from Linda that the Yang family would dispatch the Shura blood guards to Cloud's Island. The Shura blood guards would ride the cyan blood bat. As long as he saw a cyan blood bat flying in the sky, he would know that the Shura blood guards of the Yang family had arrived. At that time, Yin could expose himself and then go to Immortal Island in the Kiara Sea. The Yang family was one of the 15 powerful forces in the Endless Sea and had many prominent warriors. Since he could put on an identity, Yin would use it willingly. He also wanted to take advantages of Yang family to improve his own power. In addition, he wanted to see Xia Xinyan again. Therefore, he had to go to Kiara Sea with the Shura blood guards. Yin passed by several villages on his way, but there was not a single person in these villages. Warrior lore. Dead silence reigned in the villages, but many of the houses were clean and tidy. Dishes were set on the tables in some houses, but the villagers were all gone. It was as if the villages had all vanished all of a sudden. Yin was confused, unknown to what had happened. Frowning, he chose to keep on heading south. He came to a dense forest at night while walking in the cold moonlight. Suddenly, the icy and evil Qi, which he had sensed before, reappeared on the island. The Qi came out and began converging on some place in the south from all directions, releasing all kinds of invisible power. Yan's soul was quivering. He could clearly sense an attraction from somewhere in the south. There was more and more Qi being drawn from a river beside him to the south. Yan tried to feel it carefully. His face suddenly changed, and he hurried towards that river. 5 warriors, wearing black robes and bamboo hats, were dragging along many residents, whose mouths were stuffed by cloth. They were killing them one by one, and after the residents were dead, they pushed the bodies into the river without hesitation. There were many swollen human bodies in the river, and among them were the elders, women, and children. With a single glimpse, Shi Yin found that there were at least hundreds of bodies. Plop, plop. The sound of dead bodies dropping into water filled the silent forest. The 5 warriors, who were at the nascent and human rank, kept pushing the dead bodies into the river. By the time Shi Yin had arrived, the last few residents had been killed and thrown into the river. Many souls, who were hardly visible, rose from the river. However, instead of dispersing, they were all flying rapidly to the south of Cloud Island, as if being drawn by some kind of force. There was a powerful attraction force coming from south of the island. Drawn by this force, the resident souls would not disperse immediately after they die, but were instead taken away by it. "What are you doing?" Shi Yin appeared on the river bank abruptly, asking, "Who are you? Do you enjoy killing defenseless residents?" Shi Yin knew too well that he was no good guy himself, but he kept his baseline. He only killed those who deserved to be killed, but never defenseless women and children. These people, however, had no humanity and could be called animals. They even killed the helpless elders and children. They could not be called human. "Hey boy, mind yourself and leave from here." A warrior in the third sky of the human realm warned coldly, "Which warrior sect are you from? Didn't you receive the message?" "What message?" Shi Yin scorned. "Then you are not a warrior from the island." The man interrupts between them and then says, "Take my advice. Leave Cloud's Island now and go as far as you can, or else you'll be dead before you know it." Shi Yin sneered. "It looks like you won't be honest until I kill some of you." Having said this, Shi Yin immediately ran towards them. 3 minutes later, 4 of the 5 warriors were dead, leaving the warrior who opened his mouth first as the sole survivor. His bamboo hat had been torn off and was under Shi Yin's foot now. This warrior, while lying on the ground, was staring at Shi Yin in shock as he asked, "Who on earth are you? Do you know who you are dealing with? To be our enemy, you are asking for trouble. Now tell me, who are you? Why did you kill these people?" Shi Yin asked. "You'll regret this." The man on the ground gritted his teeth. "Ka." Shi Yin picked up a dagger and cut off the man's left hand. Without any expression, he said, "I ask and you answer. I don't want any of your bullshit." The man on the ground was screaming out in pain. Sweat ran down his forehead and his body was cramping. "Ka." Shi Yin cut off his right hand and said coldly, "I count screaming as bullshit. How dare you? How dare you to do this to me? I'm one of the Gu family. You'll be sorry. You'll die a very ugly death." The warrior screamed. "Ka." With one more move, the warrior's foot was also cut off by Shi Yin, who kept asking, "Why are you killing these people?" "I don't know. I know nothing. I was just following orders. We were ordered to kill 300 residents at a particular moment. Besides this, I know nothing." The man on the ground screamed fearfully. "Many others like me received the same order. We don't know why. We really don't." "Okay, that's the truth." Shi Yin nodded and cut off the man's head. Then he stood up and kicked the 5 warriors' bodies into the river, one by one. Throwing away the dagger and washing the blood off his arm, Shi Yin continued to go south. On his way, Shi Yin found that many bodies were piling up by the rivers, in sealed caves, and in deep pits. Their souls were all acting abnormally. All the souls were of common folk. Hundreds of thousands of them were killed by the warriors of Gu family. Shi Yin had killed another 3 groups of warriors of the Gu family as he traveled. He absorbed their qi but wasn't able to obtain any other information from them. It seemed like these warriors who had received orders to kill these people truly didn't know the reason. They were simply obeying orders. Then the sun started to rise above the horizon. The force attracting the souls to the south suddenly became extremely powerful. Shi Yin, who was now among many old trees, clearly sensed the abnormality on the island. Even his own soul was attracted by this horribly powerful force, acting as if it wanted to leave his physical body. The blood vein ring on his hand was also shimmering like a bulb that was about to explode. Looking at the ring, Shi Yin was shocked. He could vaguely sense that the ice-cold flame sealed in the ring was having a very strong reaction to something. Frowning, Shi Yin concentrated his mind into the blood vein ring to see what had changed in it. Soul collecting bead. Soul collecting bead. The bead is on the island. The consciousness of the ice-cold flame was heard from the ring for the first time. Chapter 163, Soul Gathering Beast. Chapter 163, Soul Gathering Beast. Ever since its emergence on Monroe Island, the cold ice flame had not uttered a single word, not even when it took over Shi Yin's body and consciousness. All it aimed for was to gain a full control over Shi Yin. On the other hand, Shi Yin also presumed that this ice-cold flame was only crudely equipped with a primitive consciousness that forbade any possibilities of communication. Therefore, it is not difficult to imagine his shock when receiving the first message sent by the flame inside the blood vein ring. Only now did he realize that this ice-cold flame was in every way capable of communicating with its consciousness. The only reason why it had not made the move earlier was that it did not care to talk at all. Actually, for the ice-cold flame, there was absolutely no need to talk to Shi Yin, this weak wretch whose soul could be occupied in a minute. This time, however, when the ice-cold flame detected Shi Yin's soul consciousness entering the blood vein ring, it immediately responded. It showed a mood of intense delight which proved that it must have been attracted by something. Under an ancient tree, Shi Yin was sitting with a face full of calmness. His soul consciousness had already plunged into the depths of the blood vein ring, causing his eyes to glitter and flash. The soul-gathering bead. Here's the soul-gathering bead. Inside the ring, the ice-cold flame was still lost in its reverie, shouting excitedly. It had condensed into a small flame that swayed softly, the soul-gathering pearl. I need it. Knitting his eyebrows, Shi Yin held his breath and concentrated. He engaged in a conversation with the flame through his soul consciousness. You want the pearl? Wait until you find a way to get out of the ring. You bastard! How dare you insult me? Don't you believe that I can get out immediately, freeze your soul, and crack it? Wow, can you? Don't make me remind you that tried to do that for the past 3 years. But did you succeed? I would have controlled you if it weren't for this stupid ring of yours. Mind you, you better let me out soon, or you'll regret it for your whole life. Assuming its usual arrogant air, the flame kept shouting words of threat inside the ring, blind of its poor situation. Not interested, Shi Yin's face was full of contempt as he slowly withdrew his soul consciousness from the ring. However, the ring kept blinking since the ice-cold flame had no desire to end this conversation yet. It struggled desperately inside the ring in order to exude its coldness to draw Shi Yin's attention. However, this attempt failed, and Shi Yin, who did not show the slightest notice, resumed his journey to the southern area of the Clouds Island. On his way, more bodies of the slaughtered common people came to view, with hundreds of corpses piled in every hidden corners like hills. Shi Yin's face took on a sullen look and a deep hatred rose in his heart for the Gu family. The hair-raising deeds by the Gus approached those of the wicked sects. The way that the innocent people were murdered savage, bloody, and utterly inhumane. The strong soul power he had sensed earlier in the southern part of the island did not last long and disappeared after a short while. Secretly, he tried to detect more souls fleeing from that area, but he didn't found any, which meant that someone must have known that all the souls had been absorbed and thus turned the evil power off. The soul-gathering bead? Shi Yin tightly knitted his eyebrows. He had never heard of this pearl. But judging from the tone that the ice-cold flame had when it shouted that name, extremely aroused, the ice-cold flame must know the origin and utility of the soul-gathering pearl. It was tempting to exact some information about the pearl from the ice-cold flame, thought Shi Yin, but it was equally tempting to first tone down its rampant flame a bit. Otherwise, the ice-cold flame would keep behaving ridiculously arrogantly, even to the extent of throwing threatening words to Shi Yin. The blood vein ring continued its glittering even more fervently. Shi Yin gave a scornful smile, knowing that the ice-cold flame inside the ring had reached the limit of its patience. Ignoring the glittering ring, he continued his journey. Inside the ring, after a hard endeavor, the ice-cold flame realized that Shi Yin will not talk again in a short time, eventually lost its hope. All this while, Shi Yin had been observing the ring. Satisfied after seeing the ring fall into a slumber again and not glittering anymore, a proud smile played across his lips as he advanced on. 3 hours later, Shi Yin jumped into another ancient tree whose thick foliage constituted the best shelter to conceal himself. There, he once again plunged his soul consciousness into the ring. "So can we talk peacefully now?" Shi Yin asked. Sure. The ice-cold flame immediately replied. "Good. Then tell me the origin of the pearl. I need to know what it is and how can it be used." The soul-gathering pearl is a kind of demon crystal belonging to the soul-gathering beast, who is one of the most ancient demon beasts that has ever existed between the heaven and earth. It feeds on all kinds of living beings' souls, and the more souls it absorbs, the more quickly it evolves, eventually becoming extremely powerful. Soul-gathering beasts of level 7, 8, and 9 can produce a kind of demon crystal, which is exactly the soul-gathering pearl, that can absorb souls and turn them into pure soul power. Very precious, I'd say. Then does it benefit you, the soul power accumulated in the pearl? Of course. It will benefit to all living creatures that have a soul. If we can get this pearl, my soul and life form can evolve to perfection. It's the same for you. With the soul power gathered from the pearls, your life form can improve too. You may even form a sea of consciousness. Shi Yin's heart jumped to his throat. The sea of consciousness was formed when a warrior enters the realm of nirvana by gathering his soul consciousness. Its value is beyond imagination. However, unless a warrior enters this realm or above, there is no way for him to have a sea of consciousness. But the ice-cold flame had just divulged a piece of news of thunderous importance. With the soul power accumulated in soul-gathering pearls, he can improve his life form and obtain a sea of consciousness. If so, this soul-gathering pearl will beat even the divinity medicines and pills. How's that possible, forming a sea of consciousness? Shi Yin asked with caution, trying to get more information from the ice-cold flame. The soul-gathering beast is one of the most mysterious demon beasts in this world. Its existence per se is a miracle. The reason I came to know about this beast and the pearl is that once, many powerful guys had wanted to absorb me. When they tried to take over my consciousness, I obtained their knowledge and memory in return. The origin of this soul-gathering beast, I read from a memory of a divine warriors. And that was 100,000 years ago. Now that so many years have passed, it's probably no longer a secret anymore. So it's true that a sea of consciousness can be formed. Sure, there are 2 aspects in martial arts practice: physical exercise and soul improvement. You warriors are born with a physical body, so you begin with the first aspect. Later, you experience a gradual transition to soul improvement. However, for us, or those who do not have a physical body, we begin by improving our souls. Then comes the need to seek a physical body. After a brief pause, the ice-cold flame continued its speech. So basically, all of us need to struggle for a better body and soul, to repair our defects and climb to the higher rung in the ladder of evolution. In the earth and heaven, there exists many mysterious things that can help us accelerate our improvement. The soul-gathering pearl is just one of such a treasure that can strengthen your vitality and improve your life form. The pure soul power in it can restore your soul and facilitate the making of a sea of consciousness that beats every other warriors of your rank. Throughout the long years, the ice-cold flame had come to obtain a great deal of knowledge and memory from powerful warriors, hence its good command of information concerning human warriors. Its speech had been quite logical and easy to understand, giving new knowledge to Shi Yin about the ultimate truth of a warrior's life, even though he had only heard about it once. So this soul-gathering pearl really is beneficial for me. Of course, the soul power residing in it is wondrous. Also, when the pearl is drenched in water, it can transform into soul mirror, used to beckon powerful spirits from other spaces. In earlier years, There seemed to be a wicked sect that used the soul mirror to get powerful spirits from other spaces to fight for them. Normally, those spirits are bound by rules of the heaven and the earth, so once they enter our world, their vitality will be greatly reduced. Therefore, even if they could force into our world successfully, it is still hard to say if they can use their power to the fullest extent. However, it is a different story with the spirits beckoned by Soul Mirror. They can get rid of the rules and give free rein to their soul power, not reduced in the least. Soul Mirror? Powerful spirits from other spaces? Shi Yin murmured to himself. Suddenly his eyes flashed as he felt the sensation of a cold and wicked air. The sensation seemed similar to the air emitted by the Demon King, Bo Sun. So could it be that someone from the fourth demon area had arrived in this island? But why would they? And the Gu family. They had killed every resident in the island they saw so that they could put the dead souls into the soul-gathering pearl. What is their purpose? Could it be that they were trying to beckon the demons from the fourth demon area? What could they do with the demons? To destroy the Young family. A train of thought quickly flitted across his mind, sweeping away the doubts. Gradually, his eyes regained the brightness of clarity with his thoughts becoming organized. Now he was sure that the Gu family was bent on beating the Shura bloodguards of the Yangs. As is known to all, the feud between the two families was unshakable. With the assistance of the Soul Mirror, powerful demons of the fourth demon area could be beckoned, and it would be a breeze for a demon above the god rank to exterminate a powerful warrior of the third realm of the sky rank. A warrior is utterly destroyed when his soul is devastated by the demon's soul power, leaving no chance of recuperation left for him. This is even more horrible than destroying his body. Shi Yin was struck dumb with fear. The ice-cold flame's words corresponded with his long-term observation, which assured him that he had known the fiendish plot of the Gu family. The three Shura kings of the Yangs were all of the sky rank. Thus, whichever one was sent here would be mercilessly destroyed by the demon beckoned from the fourth demon area, since the gap between their rank was huge. Shi Yin sank into a thoughtful silence. Only after a long while did he speak again to the ice-cold flame inside the ring. Do you have a way to obtain the soul-gathering pearl? Sure I do. The ice-cold flame instantly replied, rather excitedly. Chapter 164, Promise. Chapter 164, Promise. South of the Hengluo Sea, a clear blue sky, where the sky and sea merged and it looked like the Azure Sea. Under the clusters of white clouds, dozens of cyan bloodbats carried Shura bloodguards while slowly flying towards the direction of Cloud's Island. On the bodies of the cyan bloodbats, the Shura bloodguards stood with cold expressions. The demonic atmosphere on them was as if they just returned from the bloody battlefields. In the front, on a level 6 cyan bloodbat, Imo Duanhuan slightly squinted his eyes as if he was asleep. Next to this cyan bloodbat, there was a pure white flying lion. Flying lions were born with wide wings that flashed with electric sparks and had the force of wind and thunder when flying. Wind Thunder Lion, a level 6 demon beast, it was fast as the wind and its wings could form lightning. It was the most powerful demon beast tamed by the evil wonderland of the Kiara Sea. On this Wind Thunder Lion, there were two girls sitting. They both wore veils and their eyes were as bright as gems. Their exposed necks were fair as snow and had a porcelain glow under the sun. Sister Xinyan, why did you decide to come here? He Qingman stretched while saying lazily, there's nothing on Cloud's Island, only a pile of stupid rocks. You don't even care about that. Why would we come here to waste our time? I didn't tell you to follow me here. Xia Xinyan curled her lips and then said lightly, you had to come and run around with me instead of staying still in the evil wonderland. I didn't ask you. You asked for it yourself? He Qingman's amorous eyes, having an intoxicating flavor to them, slightly squinted. In the past 3 years, instead of returning to the Xia family, you insisted on following the Yang family to get involved against the Gu and Dongfang families. Why? I'm very curious. I heard from someone that you're doing this for a man? Xia Xinyan's pretty brows furrowed. Who did you hear that from? This, you don't have to worry about. He Qingman's beautiful eyes were smiling while her hair flew in the sea wind. Her body was curvy. While wearing a tight leather suit, Big parts of fair skin was revealed on her body, causing her to look very sexy. Sister Xinyan, is it really true? Even if you don't tell me who it is, I still know who told you about this. Xia Xinyan snickered. Was it your senior disciple Xiekue? He wants to use you to get information out of me, right? Sister Xinyan is so smart. He Qingman squinted. She didn't try to deny it and smiled delicately. My senior is passionately devoted to you. For years he's been pursuing you all along, but got no reaction from you. This time you went out of the sea to find a fake gate of heaven and even ignored him even more than before. My senior didn't understand why, so he spent a lot of time to inquire about it. Then he finally heard that when you were at that remote place, you met a kid that was abandoned by the Yang family for many years. I even heard that kid died. Who said that he died? Xia Xinyan snickered while she said with emphasis, even if he were dead, I would never accept Xiekue. Sister Xinyan, you really do have something for that guy? He Qingman exclaimed. This time she truly revealed her curiosity. I was only teasing you before. Although my senior kept talking about this, I didn't believe that Sister Xinyan would favor a guy in the first sky of the disaster realm. I heard that the guy lived in that remote place all along. Sister Xinyan, you only knew him for such a short amount of time. How did this happen? He Qingman's eyes were filled with astonishment as she sat up straight, seeming very interested about this. The shadow of a figure suddenly appeared in Xia Xinyan's mind. Under He Qingman's stare, Xia Xinyan's pretty brows were wreathed by faint sadness. Her clear and beautiful eyes also started to grow hazy and distracted. She started to recall some memories, as if forgetting everything around her. He Qingman quietly watched Xia Xinyan, as her mind was filled with curiosity about the man that Xia Xinyan had been so concerned about all this time. She wondered what methods that guy used to have actually become so unforgettable to the precious girl of the Xia family. Her senior, Xiekue, was incredibly talented in the evil wonderland. Not only was he good-looking, the power he had was even more profound. He was the strongest disciple with the most potential in the evil wonderland. He Qingman was very familiar with the charm of her senior. She knew how many female junior disciples were secretly in love with Xiekue. If such an outstanding man couldn't move Xia Xinyan, what gives Shi Yin the chance? He had been dead for so long, yet he still made Xia Xinyan unable to forget him? AI, too bad he's already dead. Or else, I really want to meet him to see why he's so special. After a long moment, He Qingman sighed in regret. She shook her head and murmured, I really don't believe he's better than my senior. My senior is in the second sky of the Earth realm. No matter how hard that guy works, he will never be my senior's enemy. Xia Xinyan frowned as she said lightly, his realm was indeed not as good as Xiekue's. Of course, my senior is a famous cultivation madman in the Kiara Sea. At 27 years old, he's already in the second sky of the Earth realm. Such a young age with such a high realm. You really can't find many people like that in our Kiara Sea. He Qingman's eyes were smiling as she glanced sideways at Xia Xinyan. Sister Xinyan, he can't compare to my senior in any way, right? He started cultivating at age 17 and used 1 year to enter into the first sky of disaster realm. He has at least 3 martial spirits on him. Xia Xinyan didn't even look at He Qingman as she said coldly, speaking of talent and cultivation speed, let alone Kiara Sea, even the young talents of the entire Endless Sea can't compare to him. He Qingman was shocked. After a long moment, she finally glanced quietly at Mo Duanhuan in the distance. She clicked her tongue quietly and murmured under her breath, indeed a freak. Luckily that guy is not around anymore, or else if the Yang family had such a crazy guy, they would probably get even more arrogant. God knows what kinds of appalling things they would then do. He's not dead, Xia Xinyan snorted and said lightly. When the Yang family got the news about him from me, the head of the Yang family spent 3 drops of immortal blood to use a great oracle. It indicated that he is still alive and well. Plus, it pointed out that after 3 years, he should be appearing on Cloud's Island. Right now, he should be on Cloud's Island, using 3 drops of immortal blood, just to know if he's alive or not. Yang Qingdi really cares a lot about him. He Qingman exclaimed and finally nodded. Indeed, after cultivating for more than a year, he immediately stepped into the first sky of disaster realm. With a crazy guy like him, no wonder the Yang family would go through such great expenses. Xia Xinyan's pretty brows slightly furrowed as she sighed. But the head of the Yang family said that this journey will be very dangerous. He said that some changes might occur on the island. Qing man, I had to come, but you shouldn't have followed me. Now that I have cleared the situation, it's still not too late for you to leave. No, no, no. Qing man kept shaking her head. She smiled delicately. You know I like danger. Since you said that guy is on the island, then I definitely have to see for myself. After you have praised him so much, I have become more and more curious about him. I really want to see what he has that attracts you. Sister Xinyan, did he already take advantage of you? Else, why would you defend him so much? Xia Xinyan's neck suddenly turned red. She intensely rolled her eyes at Qing man and then scolded, Stupid girl, if you keep bullshitting, believe it or not, I'll throw you off of here. Hey, hey, hey. Qing man smiled and yelled out, You should know that this wind thunder lion is my mount. Aren't you being too rude? I know, I hit your soft spot. Is that right? Oh, Sister Xinyan, how could you have been taken advantage of by that despicable guy? Humph, I haven't even touched Sister Xinyan yet. If I were to see him, I will definitely go deal with him. I'm too lazy to bother with you. Xia Xinyan shook her head in frustration. She seemed to know that this girl was hard to mess with. 7 days until we arrive at Cloud's Island. Then at this moment, Imo Duanhuan, who was in front of them, suddenly turned back his head and said callously, This trip will have many unknown dangers. Although I made preparations, but I still can't guarantee that we are perfectly safe. I hope you two realize that this journey will put our lives at risk. From now on, you should be more careful. Xia girl, you should still remember Zhao's misfortune. Don't get attacked by someone halfway and not even realize it. After Imo Duanhuan said that, the look in Xia Xinyan's eyes changed as she immediately said, Understood. Qing man stuck her little tongue out. She made a face at Imo Duanhuan and giggled. She wasn't afraid, but she didn't continue blabbing towards Xia Xinyan either. In her mind, there was a deep curiosity and confusion. She didn't know what kind of person Shi Yin truly was, such that he could be so unforgettable to Xia Xinyan. Cloud's Island. On an old tree, Shi Yin was still bargaining with the cold ice flame. If I were to obtain the soul-gathering pearl, I want 70% of the soul power in the soul-gathering pearl. The rest 30% will be yours. Shi Yin said with his mind, I have a body of flesh. When encountering dangers, I have the highest chance of vanishing my soul completely. You are hiding in the ring, so you won't face much danger at all. Besides, your life form is special. You almost unperishable. The danger I will encounter is bigger, so I deserve to have more. Kid, you are too greedy. The ice-cold flame yelled in the blood vein ring. What's the use of your body? Without my method and power, once you get near the soul-gathering pearl, your soul would disperse. If I didn't tell you, you wouldn't even have known what the soul-gathering pearl is. Stop bullshitting. I want 70%. I should be getting 70%. The ice-cold flame was so mad it kept releasing cold energy inside the blood vein ring. The most you can get is 30%. Or else even if I don't do anything, it will kill you. Then I can turn back now. Shi Yin sneered. My interest in that soul-gathering pearl isn't that big anyway. Once I step into the nirvana realm, I can still form the sea of consciousness myself. I don't have to hurry anyway. Stop lying. Haha. The cold ice flame laughed creepily. Your mind can't lie. I know your true thoughts. You won't give up on the soul-gathering pearl. I know you really want it. Shi Yin put up a wry smile. He didn't know that the ice-cold flame's consciousness was so strangely mysterious that it could actually see through his thoughts. After a moment of silence, Shi Yin said again, Whatever. I'll take a step back. I'll have 60%, the rest 40% will go to you. Your realm is too low. You won't be able to handle 60% of the soul-gathering pearl's power at all. The ice-cold flame mocked. You will immediately be defeated by the force of the soul power. Kid, you're too greedy. This will only become harmful to you. How about this? Shi Yin suddenly said in delight. I'll take however much I can absorb. How's that? The rest that I can't absorb, will all go to you. All right. The cold ice flame immediately agreed. I thought you were going to share the soul-gathering pearl soul power with that Xiaoxinyan woman. I know that you have that woman in your heart. That woman's realm is a lot higher than yours, so the soul power she can handle is also a lot greater than yours. But if it's just you, then sure. However much you can absorb, you can absorb. You just have to give the rest to me. Deal. Deal. Dash. Chapter 165. Scheming with Demon Dwellers. Chapter 165. Scheming with Demon Dwellers. On the south side of Cloud's Island, in a hidden valley, many giant trees casted shades that covered the ground and sky. Inside the valley, there was a gray fog. The fog continued to linger and did not dissipate. In the fog, the valley was filled with dead silence. There were no demon beasts, nor any trace of warriors. The condensed fog covered the sky above the valley. The bright sunlight couldn't even go through that fog and into the valley. When Shi Yin got to the entrance of the valley, he felt that the air was moist and knew that there had to be some sort of water source inside the valley. Following that cold, evil presence, Shi Yin followed along until he found the valley. When he arrived there, he suddenly felt that the cold and evil presence suddenly disappeared without a trace. The further he was from this valley, the more he could feel the unusualness of this place. However, when he was actually here, he couldn't feel anything. This gave Shi Yin a feeling that could he have found the wrong place? Hiding on an old tree, at the entrance of the valley, Shi Yin gazed far into the valley. He realized that the valley was covered by the fog, and nothing could be seen. He didn't know what was inside the valley. He didn't rush to get into the valley. Shi Yin hid himself on the old tree and silently waited. After 3 days, suddenly a strong soul power came from the thick fog in the valley. Following that, from all directions on Cloud's Island, souls that couldn't be seen by the naked eye were attracted by the valley and all gathered here. They formed into gray dark lights, flying in the valley, and disappeared within a second. Shi Yin's face changed. He gazed into the distance and realized that in the depth of the valley, there were countless dark lights flashing. If each one of the lights represented a soul, then the souls present in the valley would be up to thousands, or even tens of thousands. God knows how many people were killed by the Gu family. At the same time, that cold, evil presence suddenly spread out from inside the valley. Like drifting smoke, it permeated into the entire sky of the Cloud's Island. As if it was gathering something, changing something. Standing outside the valley, this time Shi Yin clearly sensed this cold, evil power. It definitely came from the demon dwellers of the 4th demon area. At this moment, Shi Yin finally confirmed his guess. The blood vein ring on his hand flashed. The cold ice flame inside seemed to have something to say. Shi Yin looked at the blood vein ring and sank his consciousness inside. What is it? It's in the valley. It's the soul-gathering pearl of the level 8 soul-gathering beast. The soul-gathering pearl is in the water. The water is filled with souls. It can be confirmed that the soul-gathering pearl sank into the water. It can form a soul mirror to connect 2 dimensions. The cold ice flame screamed with delight. The soul-gathering pearl of a level 8 soul-gathering beast? Shi Yin was surprised inside. Then wouldn't the soul power inside be even more strong? Of course. The cold ice flame seemed very excited. You don't need to use your mind power to probe around the valley anymore. Someone set very heavy constraints inside the valley. There are people stronger than you who are inside the valley. If a corner of your mind power were to be revealed, you might be immediately discovered. That cold, evil soul should have came from the 4th demon area. Could it be that he's already here? The 4th demon area? The cold ice flame felt a little strange. In my memory, this demon area has the least number of strong masters. In the 4 demon areas, the first has the strongest demon dwellers, followed by the 2nd and 3rd, and the demon dwellers in the 4th demon area are the most useless. I knew that the 1st demon area was sealed a long time ago, so no one can enter. Are the 2nd and 3rd demon areas sealed too? When the sky and earth were first born, the cold ice flame already had a simple consciousness. In its long life, many strong masters tried to absorb it. Those masters were, without exception, all top figures of Grace Mainland. These people's memory and knowledge was also extraordinary. From those people's memories, the cold ice flame learned about many secrets that very few warriors knew now. Its understanding on the different demon areas may even exceeded the head of the Yang family, Yang Qingdi. You know things about the fourth demon area? Shi Yin was surprised. Of course I know. I obtained a lot of knowledge and memory, which includes the 4 demon areas. In the 4 demon areas, the fourth is actually the weakest. From many people's memories, I've seen them go to the 2nd and 3rd demon areas, plundering precious resources from the demon areas and battling with strong demon warriors. They fought incredibly hard, almost tearing open the demon mountain cloud sea of the demon area. In this regard, the cold ice flame didn't mind Shi Yin knowing. Just some casual words already made Shi Yin shocked to his heart. From the cold ice flame's explanation, it wasn't difficult for Shi Yin to realize that the guys who tried to get a hold on the cold ice flame all had invincible powers, one of which could even leisurely walk through the 2 dimensions without the help of a gate of heaven. His heavenly powers were limitless, such that he almost had no opponents while going through both dimensions. So many strong figures, there were just no one who could truly absorb you. Shi Yin was surprised. That guy, Nye Tian, you mentioned, he had no opponents throughout many dimensions. A figure like such, was he also not able to absorb you? I once merged into his soul. The cold ice flame immediately became dispirited. He was too strong. I couldn't fight back at all. I merged into his sea of consciousness and became one of the 3 soul powers inside. There was also 2 other strong living consciousnesses. They were also enslaved by him. This guy was too terrifying. I couldn't fight back at all. How were you able to escape? When he was rising from the 3rd sky of the true God realm into the King God realm, he was bombarded by many masters of the same realm. While he was having a breakthrough, his soul couldn't be distracted, and at the same time his body was destroyed by many warriors of the same level. The other 2 guys and I secretly escaped from his sea of consciousness. He lost us, the 3 soul powers, and his body was also already destroyed. So, he was probably completely destroyed. 3rd sky of the true God realm? Shi Yin was stunned. That guy really was frightening. In his soul's sea of consciousness, there were actually 2 other life forms merged in. Those 2 guys, were they like you, also Skyfires? They weren't Skyfires, but they were 2 of the most extraordinary lives in the world. We're different from you humans. We naturally only have souls and no bodies. Humph. The gods purposely did this to us. If we had natural bodies, then you humans would never be our opponents. Shi Yin was filled with surprise. He realized that when conversing with the cold ice flame, he could obtain a lot of incredible old knowledge. Some experiences of the cold ice flame were truly like a book of ancient history and strong masters. Its understanding of masters and cultivation was definitely more thorough than those of many God Realm warriors in the endless sea now. Don't worry. Right now the soul that is overflowing from the valley is too scattered. It's only the extending of consciousness. Without the accumulation, it wouldn't be the true arrival of the soul. The cold ice flame thought Shi Yin was scared. It consoled him. The reason why there are so many people here is to use these souls to form the soul bridge, and let that person's consciousness split and attach to these souls. When his consciousness is completely divided into thousands of pieces and form into one, then his soul would be able to truly arrive. How do you plan on getting the soul-gathering pearl? Shi Yin asked. When that guy comes here. The cold ice flame explained. The soul-gathering pearl, naturally, has the power to absorb souls. On normal conditions, once you and I get near the soul-gathering pearl, our souls would be immediately influenced by the power of the pearl. I can still endure it, but your soul would be immediately sucked in by the soul-gathering pearl. But once the soul-gathering pearl forms into the soul mirror, the soul power of the pearl would be used to operate the soul mirror. Then at that time, it won't have its soul-absorbing power. As long as you jump into that water on right time, I will use my power to seal everything in ice. By then you would be able to obtain the soul-gathering pearl. If that demon dweller's soul is also near the soul-gathering pearl, wouldn't I be immediately killed by the demon dweller? And if the soul mirror is removed, then the soul-absorbing power of the pearl would come back. At that time, what would I do? The demon dweller is here to do something important, so he wouldn't be near the soul-gathering pearl all the time. Once that demon dweller leaves, we can re-enter into the water that's hiding the pearl. When you get the soul-gathering pearl, I will immediately tell you the methods to control the pearl. By that time, even if the soul mirror were to disappear, you won't have to worry about the soul-gathering pearl causing any harm to you. What if the demon dweller's soul comes back? Haha, then he'll be seeking his own demise. Without a body, a demon dweller with only a soul can't hold against the soul-absorbing power of the pearl at all. The biggest use of the soul-gathering pearl is to absorb souls. Souls with bodies still have a foundation. The influence they receive from the pearl would be many times smaller. But once the soul leaves the body, and if it gets in the range of the soul-gathering pearl, even a God Realm Master would have a very difficult time escaping from the soul-absorbing power of the pearl. If that demon dweller realizes that you can control the soul-gathering pearl, when he meets you, he would escape much faster than you do. Haha. A smile suddenly appeared on Yan's lips. So, if I gain control of the soul-gathering pearl, I'll have the power to go against that demon dweller? Of course, at that time, I will tell you how to control the soul-gathering pearl. Once we get the pearl, you should go find that demon dweller immediately. A demon dweller that dares to bring his soul from the demon area has to be very strong. If his soul were to be absorbed into the soul-gathering pearl, it would have more soul power than tens of thousands of civilian souls combined. You can't put it to waste. Then you just wait. Once that demon dweller's soul leaves the valley, we will enter into the valley. The constraints in the valley has no use against me. By then I will release my power and freeze all of the constraints. You will be able to go straight through. Good. Let me think. Even if the soul-gathering pearl has to maintain the soul mirror, once you touch it, it can still form soul attacks to fight you. You only have to hold against one very weak soul attack, then you can get the soul-gathering pearl. But your realm seems to be too low. You might not even hold against one soul attack from it. Forget it. I'll teach you a kind of soul defense martial skill from Nyetion. Although your realm right now is very low, but once you master that guy's skill, you should be able to hold against one wave of soul attack from the soul-gathering pearl. Nyetion's martial skill. Yan's eyes suddenly brightened. Don't get so happy yet. I will only teach you the basics, lest you come to go against me in the future. Basics are fine too, Dash. Chapter 166, Cultivating a Fake Soul. Chapter 166, Cultivating a Fake Soul. A martial skill that had been cultivated by a true God Realm Third Sky Master. Even with only basics, it still made Yen ecstatic. To make Yen obtain the soul-gathering pearl, the ice-cold flame really went through great pains. Not only did it clearly explain the origin and use of the soul-gathering beast, as well as the soul-gathering pearl itself, it also gave him a type of martial skill from its memory just to make Yen capable of defending against one soul attack of the soul-gathering pearl. Yan's face was full of joy as he hid in the dense leaves of the old tree and sank his mind into the blood vein ring. He carefully listened to the ice-cold flame's introduction. During the cultivation route of you human warriors, you will get influenced by thoughts of hate, greed, delusions, obsession, and resentment. These are collectively called as demons of the mind. They can drive you to insanity and destroy all the cultivation in your body. However, there are also strong-powered and strong-minded warriors who not only don't fear the demons of the mind, they can put them to some use. Demons of the mind? Yen was surprised for a moment. The martial skill you're about to tell me is related to the demons of the mind? Exactly. By using your demons of the mind such as hate, greed, delusion, obsession, and resentment, with a special method to gather them into a cluster of demonic feelings, and then using your soul to leave an imprint in the demons of the soul, you can temporarily form a demonic soul. The demonic soul can count as a fake soul of yours. When you encounter the soul attack of the pearl, you only need to release the demonic soul. The soul power of the soul-gathering pearl will destroy your fake soul, but your real soul will be unharmed. Demonic soul? Only a fake soul? The ice-cold flame was a little impatient. Of course, the demonic soul cultivated by that guy was not only this. He could use the demons of the mind to form into a real demonic soul. The real demonic soul is a second soul that has magical powers and even has a second sea of consciousness. Once he finds the right body, the demonic soul can even form a second him. The demonic soul is made from the demons of the mind. It has the life imprint of the main soul as well as the memories and knowledge of the main soul. As long as the demonic soul is weaker than the main soul, it will be controlled by the main soul. But once the demonic soul becomes stronger than the main soul, it can even control the main soul, turning a God Realm Master into a bloodthirsty monster. Then according to what you said, having a demonic soul is like having an extra life. Exactly. When the demonic soul is cultivated, at crucial moments, the main soul can sacrifice the demonic soul to escape. As long as you live, you can keep forming more demonic souls. The worth of it is endless. Between the main soul and the demonic soul, as long as one lives, the other one can be reborn. They're complementary to each other. It's very amazing. Hee, the cultivation method of the demonic soul is sure amazing. I won't tell you the method to cultivate the demonic soul. The one I'm teaching you is only to form the fake soul. You can only sacrifice it. It has no other powers. If I let you know the cultivation method of the demonic soul, you would certainly use it to go against me in the future. Don't even think about it. Shi Yin chuckled. He knew that obtaining the cultivation method of the demonic soul from the ice-cold flame in a short time was not very realistic. He didn't insist and continued to communicate. Then tell me the method for forming the fake soul. It's like this. You have to gather the thoughts of hate, greed, delusion, obsession, and resentment, plus the different negative emotions in your body to form into a soul cluster in your mind. Once the soul cluster is made, put your soul into the fake soul and quickly leave. Then this way you will be able to leave an imprint of your soul in the fake soul, giving the soul cluster your soul imprint and forming the fake soul. It's that easy? Of course it's not just that. Halfway through it I will control a portion of power to comb through your soul cluster for you. Then you can finally put in your soul. If I don't help you a little, you will immediately be trapped by the fake soul and the demons of your mind will control your everything. You will become a bloodthirsty monster with no independent consciousness. You will help me halfway? How do you plan on helping me? Shi Yin snickered. Don't think about getting out of the blood vein ring. This stupid ring keeps constraining me. My soul can't get out at all, but my consciousness can be revealed a little. If my soul could leave this stupid ring, I would have left long ago. All right, then let's try right now. As the owner of the blood vein ring, Shi Yin could control the blood vein ring a little bit. However, he already made up his mind. No matter what, he will never remove the power in the blood vein ring that was constraining the ice-cold flame. This ice-cold flame was too evil and strong. It constantly wants to occupy his soul and seize his body. Compared to the soul-gathering pearl, he was more afraid of the ice-cold flame. So from the beginning to the end, he had always been emphasizing that he will not open up the blood vein ring a single bit. Stop the nonsense. Let's start quickly. The soul mirror formed by that soul-gathering pearl can summon the soul of the demon dweller at any time. Once that demon dweller's soul comes out, we will have to immediately get to the soul-gathering pool. You have to obtain the soul-gathering pearl before the demon dweller gets to you. Only then can you use the pearl to absorb him. Else, you'll be at a dead end. After the ice-cold flame said that, Shi Yin didn't dare to hesitate. He took in a deep breath and slowly took his consciousness away from the blood vein ring. Sizing up his surroundings, Shi Yin felt that this place was a little unfitting. This place was at the valley entrance of where the soul-gathering pearl was at, and there was a chance of a Gu family member walking around. If a strong warrior of the Gu family were to come and also just happen to release his soul consciousness to search, he might find his tracks. After thinking about it for a moment, as a precaution, Shi Yin jumped down from above and quickly left the valley. After a few hours, Shi Yin arrived next to a dirt hill. He dug a dirt hole inside the hill and climbed in to form the fake soul. When his meridians didn't purify the power yet, The negative emotions that were able to affect his mind seemed to hide itself inside the meridians. The mind power that Shi Yin let out purposely gathered a portion of the negative emotions in his meridians, and then slowly moved it into his mind. The different thoughts of hate, greed, delusion, obsession, and resentment all repeatedly surfaced in Shi Yan's mind. Under the detailed explanation of the ice-cold flame, once these thoughts surfaced inside his mind, he immediately merged them with the negative emotions, and then slowly gathered them inside his mind. After a very long time, in Shi Yan's mind, there was an extra gray cyclone. Inside the cyclone, there were many negative emotions and demons of the mind. These emotions formed into an air mass. It kept influencing Shi Yin, making him gnash his teeth as the bloodthirsty, murderous thoughts continued appearing in his mind. This was similar to when Shi Yan's meridians were purifying those powers. However, it was still weaker. It didn't actually completely destroy Shi Yan's mind, and made him fall into a state when he didn't even know who he was. All right, I will change it for you a little. A wisp of the ice-cold flame's consciousness flew out of the blood vein ring and into Shi Yan's mind. Shi Yin was on full guard. He wasn't worried about the cyclone in his mind, but instead was scared that the ice-cold flame would suddenly cause trouble. He cautiously sensed around. He sensed the strand of consciousness from the ice-cold flame, but realized that this consciousness wasn't strong. Inside, there seemed to be no memory or wisdom mixed in it. Like his mind power, this was purely just a flow of mind energy. This mind energy didn't bring any invasiveness. Shi Yin didn't dare to relax. He secretly took precautions. He was ready to immediately defend at any cost if that mind energy from the ice-cold flame were to have any harmful actions to him. He was worried that the ice-cold flame would play some tricks. Fortunately, this flow of mind energy from the ice-cold flame seemed to really have no bad intention. This flow of icy energy all went into the center of that gray air mass. Once this flow of cold soul energy was put in, the different demons of the mind of that air mass inside Shi Yan's mind was evenly spread out. Even the negative emotions that he gathered seemed to have become more tame under the ice-cold flame's cold energy. All right, let your soul crawl in, and then immediately get out. The ice-cold flame released the signal. Without hesitation, Shi Yin concentrated his mind and gathered his consciousness. He slowly gathered his soul presence, and then formed it into a beam of light that fiercely pierced into the fake soul. In a mere second, Shi Yin entered into layers of hallucinations. The early death of his parents, the boring nature of his life, the suffocation at the desperate moment of his adventure, all flowed into his mind. Different green-faced fanged monsters also surfaced in the hallucinations. They all flared their claws and came at him, trying to drag him into the land of the dead. There were also enchanting, peerless beauties. They were dressed in revealing clothes. Their beautiful bodies were shown, and they posed in seductive positions. The different hallucinations all appeared from the fake soul. Shi Yan's soul light beam, in the mere instant as it went through, actually saw endless evils and temptations. Finally, the different evils and temptations quickly disappeared. When Shi Yin realized that he went through all those temptations, he was abruptly stunned. In that fake soul, there were actually many miniature soul shadows of himself that appeared. Those miniature shadows were in all different hallucinations. Their expressions were ferocious and evil, with the fierce bloodlust that seemed like it could destroy all. None of the miniature soul shadows in the hallucinations were normal. Those are the miniature shadows left by your soul imprint. Your soul imprint awakened the fake soul, giving the fake soul a part of your consciousness. Don't worry, the fake soul has no powers. It can't influence you. You only need to make the fake soul stand in front of you when touching the soul-gathering pearl. Then you will be able to defend against the soul attack of the soul-gathering pearl, and then grab the soul-gathering pearl. Fake soul. Shi Yin was stunned. Why? Why do I feel like I'm still in those hallucinations? Why do I feel like I didn't walk out of there at? The me inside the hallucinations seemed like the real me. What is going on? You left a soul imprint in there. Although the fake soul has no powers, but it's still a miniature shadow of the demons of your mind. It's interworking with your real soul. It's normal that you have those feelings. Once you form the real demonic soul, what you will experience would be even more intriguing. But I will never tell you the true method of cultivating the demonic soul. Demonic soul. Demonic soul. Shi Yin retreated his consciousness from the blood vein ring. His eyes suddenly brightened as he murmured under his breath, "Sooner or later I will get it out of you." Humph. When his consciousness left the blood vein ring, the ice-cold flame couldn't hear him talking to himself, but it still kept flashing. 3 days later, Shi Yin, who had been observing the sky, suddenly noticed there were many black shadows on the sky. Those shadows were lined up as they slowly flew towards the biggest mine of the Gu family. Shi Yin looked up and immediately recognized that the black shadows were the cyan bloodbats that he once rode. His face changed. Shi Yin judged the situation and realized that from his location to the Gu family's mine, it would take at least half a day to get there. However, going to the Valley of the Soul Gathering Pearl would only need 2 hours. After pondering for a moment, Shi Yin quickly made a decision. He immediately sprinted towards the valley where the Soul Gathering Pearl was at. He knew that the situation was going to change very soon. Dash. Chapter 167. Every minute counts. Chapter 167. Every minute counts. Carrying Shura blood guards on their backs, the cyan bloodbats were slowly flying upon the Clouds Island. On the front cyan bloodbat, Imo Duanhuan looked serious with dazzling light in his eyes. It was the second time that he had come to the Clouds Island. Last time he came here, he swept the Clouds Island with his Shura blood guards and killed all the experts of the Gu family. Generally, the Gu family wouldn't dare to play any tricks, but Imo Duanhuan was still quite cautious. As soon as he arrived at the Clouds Island, he used his consciousness to observe the surroundings on alert. Before he came to the Clouds Island, Imo Duanhuan received a message from King Yangqing to remind him that it might be a dangerous journey. King Yangqing was busy dealing with the demon dwellers in the 4th demon area, so he couldn't come in person to the Clouds Island to talk with Gu Lai. But since he predicted that Shi Yin would come to the Clouds Island, he reminded Imo Duanhuan to be careful. Imo Duanhuan believed in King Yangqing, so he made good preparation for the journey. With King Yangqing's reminder, Imo Duanhuan was extremely careful, and even the cyan bloodbat flew unusually slow. On the back of the Thunder Lion, Xia Xinyan and He Qingman were both silent. The two women's eyes shone brightly as they looked down to the Clouds Island cautiously. Especially Xia Xinyan, with sorrow in her eyes, she knew Shi Yin was on the Clouds Island, so she wanted to see him so much, but she didn't know how to find him. He Qingman looked relaxed as she looked down, and then looked to Xia Xinyan as she kept getting more and more curious. According to Xia Xinyan's behaviors, she really cared about Shi Yin a lot. Along the way, He Qingman had heard a lot about Shi Yin from Xia Xinyan, so she wanted to meet Shi Yin in person to see the one who managed captured the daughter of the Kiara Sea. "Be careful, we are about to land," Imo Duanhuan yelled as he controlled the cyan bloodbat to land slowly. In the stony yard, many Gu family nervously moved to make room for the cyan bloodbats. As cyan bloodbats landed one by one, Imo Duanhuan got off the cyan bloodbat frowning. After looking around, he asked, "Who was in charge?" An Earth Realm minister of the Gu family stood out politely. "Lord Imo, please wait for a moment. My master is not here right now. He is signing a paper on a quarry, and will be here as soon as he received the message." Imo Duanhuan sneered. "Who is Gu Lai? How dare he keep me wait?" "Forgive me, Lord Imo. I'm so sorry." That guy bowed while sweating and said in a trembling voice. As the head of the 3 Shura kings, Imo Duanhuan was famed for his ferocity. In all the battles, Imo Duanhuan killed all the experts every time. Among the 3 Shura kings, Imo Duanhuan talked the least, but killed the most. Once he took action, he never left anyone alive. "Half an hour." Imo Duanhuan frowned. "If he still doesn't show up, I will bury you people together with him. I have blood washed the Clouds Island once, and a second time will be fun too." The members of the Gu family turned pale after hearing that, and some low-realm warriors even started shaking their legs. They might not care if it was said by anyone else, but it was Imo Duanhuan, so they became severely frightened. Imo Duanhuan never made jokes, and did what he said. He had the capability to slaughter the Clouds Island. Lord Emo, I will send the message to my master at once. That guy wiped the sweats on his face, bowed, and dashed to send a message eagle. Standing there like a tree, Emo Dwanhuan didn't utter a word. Narrowing his eyes, he seemed to be resting. Without any word, he already put huge pressure on those Gu family members. Soul Gathering Pool. As the soul gathering flags flew in the air, one after another soul was captured while it showed a hideous face. There were also many stone colorful pillars standing in the valley, which were sculptured with all sorts of patterns and gave out strong energy waves. With the fog upon the valley, dull lights formed a veil to prevent soul consciousness. Countless souls were floating in the waves of the soul-gathering pool. There were tens of thousands of souls floating at every corner of the soul-gathering pool. Those ghost-like souls had different faces, but they all sent out same deadly hatred-filled smell. Beside the soul-gathering pool stood only two people, Gu Lai and Gu Jianga. Gu Lai frowned, staring at the soul-gathering pool rigidly. Gu Jianga also got nerves as he walked around the soul-gathering pool to check if everything's okay. A messenger eagle flew through darkness and came near. Gu Jianga casually catched that eagle and looked over the letter on it. Dad, Emo Dwanhuan said, if you don't appear there in half an hour, he will blood wash the Clouds Island. Gu Lai's face turned rigid as he grunted. Leave him alone. How are they there? Gu Jianga thought for a second. All sacrificed? Let's see. Gu Lai looked indifferent. It would be their luck if demon dwellers came early. Only you and me know this, and we disappeared for a while. If the people above us found about it, we can't escape either. Maybe it's not bad to die. Got it. Gu Jianga nodded. You checked everything? Any problem? Gu Lai asked. It's okay. We can begin. Good. I will call the demon dweller's souls here. Be careful and stay around me. Before the demon dweller's soul came, don't let anyone know about here, or Emo Dwanhuan would come at once. Don't worry, father. I know what to do. Okay. Shi Yin kept rushing with a rigid face, running for the valley with soul-gathering pearls at his fastest speed. As Emo Dwanhuan came, the Gu family would definitely take actions. From now on, demon dwellers could appear at any time. The demon dwellers were coming here for Emo Dwanhuan, so they would dash at Emo Dwanhuan at the first sight of him. During the time those demon dwellers left the soul-gathering pool, Shi Yin could enter the valley and break the barrier with the cold ice flame, and get soul-gathering pearl in the soul-gathering pool. Shi Yin was not quite sure if Emo Dwanhuan could defend against those demon dwellers, but it was too late for him to tell Emo Dwanhuan now. Right now, he could only stick to his plan and grab the soul-gathering pearl as soon as possible. Once he got the soul-gathering pearl, he could defend against the demon dwellers. It would be fine if Emo Dwanhuan was still present there till then. Shi Yin had thought of many ways and finally fixed on this plan. The blood vein ring was shining brightly, and the cold ice flame was excited inside it, as the soul-gathering pearl was extremely attractive to it. 10 minutes later, an overwhelming energy wave gushed out from the valley. Dense demonic air controlled the sky upon the Clouds Island. In it, a stream of strong soul energy was gathering rapidly. Soon there formed a strong soul wave upon the valley, which shocked Shi Yin a lot. Once the soul showed appeared in the valley, all the demon air gathered, and it turned the valley like dark night. Even Shi Yin found it hard to clearly see the surroundings. At the same time, another strong soul wave came from the quarry of Shi family, and a green spot inclined in the sky like a star. That spot was bright as the sun and the moon. Although Shi Yin's eyes were blurred by the demon air, he could still see the light spot clearly as it was too dazzling. That bright spot was the head of the three Shura kings, Emo Dwanhuan. Shi Yin felt that the green spot was sending out murderous smell, and he ready to have a good fight against demon dwellers. Staring at the green spot, Shi Yin regained more confidence. He believed that Emo Dwanhuan could win the soul attack of the demon dwellers. Thus he dashed to the valley without hesitation. The demon dweller soul had already flew out of the valley to the green spot at Emo Dwanhuan. That was the best timing for Shi Yin to retract the soul-gathering pearl. Dash! Chapter 168, Demon Master Mojito. Chapter 168, Demon Master Mojito. Clouds shifted quickly upon the Clouds Island and blocked the sun. A ferocious soul stretched out from vastness to grab the Clouds Island. Every warrior on the Clouds Island who had formed spirit perception power could feel the pressure from that horrible soul. Emo Dwanhuan jumped out and turned into a flame of green light and then into a tornado, hitting the sky. At the quarry of the Gu family, Shura Bloodguard mounted the cyan bloodbats one after another. Xia Xinyan and He Qingman were surprised as they looked up to the sky at the dense demon cloud. It's Demon Master Mojito under Demon King Bo Sun. Xia Xinyan blinked, and through the incarnation martial spirit, she detected who was it. Mojito. He Qingman yelled in astonishment. Mojito is merely a demon master. How dare he tear the space barrier and enter our space? The demon master would be severely injured after the breakthrough, finding it hard to fight. Is he crazy? Who knows what he is thinking about? Xia Xinyan shook her head. Qingman, it's a rather dangerous journey. Be careful. We should leave on our wind Thunder Lion if the situation turns for the worst. Mojito is a god realm. Even if he is badly crippled, he could take us easily. He Qingman nodded at once. Yes, the Gu family is crazy to work with the demon dweller. They are. The Yang family hates whoever involves themselves with the demon area. The Gu family will face a ferocious revenge from the Yang family after this. Well, I hope Lord Emo will be fine and not to be taken down by Mojito. Xia Xinyan shook her head and sighed. Get ready to leave any time. He Qingman urged Xia Xinyan. Get on the Wind Thunder Lion and be prepared to leave the Clouds Island. The Gu family is doing something really major. Maybe they will kill everybody. We must be on alert. Okay. Xia Xinyan nodded and mounted the Wind Thunder Lion. After mounting the Wind Thunder Lion, He Qingman patted its neck and the lion flew up to leave the Clouds Island. Boom, 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 boom. Great thunders came from the dense demon clouds above Clouds Island, shaking the earth. Soon the clouds gathered and covered every corner of the Clouds Island. The Wind Thunder Lion reached the sky and was just about to leave the Clouds Island until it was blocked by the dense barrier. Xia Xinyan screamed in fear. The demon flame had blocked the island. Bunches of demon clouds covered the Clouds Island like a black bowl. No one could go in or get out of the Clouds Island anymore. The Clouds Islands was sealed. We are finished. He Qingman smiled hopelessly. It's so out of expectation that the demon master came and sealed the island. Although Lord Emo is at Sky Realm, if even he was trapped by Mojito, then we can't escape this time. Now that we can't leave, we should help the Shura Bloodguards kill the Gu family. Xia Xinyan frowned. No matter what the result is, we won't let the Gu family have an easy time. Sure. He Qingman's eyes flashed with a callous light while her slim leg kicked the Wind Thunder Lion, urging it to decline quickly to the quarry. The profound chi was boiling between Shi Yan's legs while he was shuttling swiftly in the woods. He saw what happened on the Clouds Island clearly. Since the demon dweller sealed the island, he had to get the Soul Gathering Pearl as soon as possible or else he will be killed together with the Yang family members. Only by obtaining the Soul Gathering Pearl could he control the demon dweller and change the situation. Half an hour later, Shi Yin dashed into the valley soaked in sweat. Regardless of the seal in the valley, he moved forward. Break the seal. As his consciousness dived into the blood vein ring, Shi Yin sent a message to the ice-cold flame. Pa! Oval light loops showed up upon the valley and struck toward Shi Yin in silver sparkles. At the same time, gray ripples rippled away. The ripples moved and seemed to influence Shi Yan's profound chi. He couldn't control it for a moment. Shi Yin was in danger. He was stopped suddenly by the two sorts of seals. Coming. The ice-cold flame responded. Freezing air gushed out from the blood vein ring with the sound of hiss-hiss. The earth, trees, stones were suddenly covered by white frost. The cold air moved while the space was frozen. The surroundings changed quickly, and then the veil outside the valley was revealed. A milky white light covered the valley and hid the stone pillar, soul-gathering flag, and the soul-gathering pool. The cold air from the ice-cold flame froze the light cover, and the latter showed cracks on its surface. Through the light cover, Yin could see through the valley and found the stone pillar, soul-calling flags, and the soul-gathering pool. He could also see Gu Jianga. Gu Jianga was standing beside the soul-gathering pool in surprise as he looked over in Yan's direction. The cold air from the ice-cold flame moved and soon took the whole valley. The valley was sealed and every sort of energy was frozen. As a one-of-a-kind of skyfire, the ice-cold flame was born a long time ago. Meaning that it has had plenty of time to increase its power on top of its OP potential. It had been tamed by Nie Chun, and with his power of the third sky of God realm, he had sealed the whole Monroe Island. If it was freed from the blood vein ring, it could even fight against the demon dweller. It was too easy of a take for it to freeze a valley. Pa! The milky light shell finally exploded into endless ice chips. Yin. From the valley came Gu Jianga's voice as he was smiling warmly. Brother Shi, I didn't know you were from the Yang family when we were at the Monroe Island. I have to apologize to you. Gu Jianga smiled and bowed towards Yin, and then pretended to be surprised. But why is Brother Shi on the Clouds Island? Why are you here? Yin frowned slightly, not willing to respond Gu Jianga, so he kept silent as he ran to the soul-gathering pool beside Gu Jianga. At that time, the cold air of the ice-cold flame had frozen the valley, so it was the best chance for Yin to get the soul-gathering pearl. Yin, what are you? Gu Jianga cried in fear. Shoo! The dragon-slaying sword flew out from the back of Gu Jianga's neck, and the hornless fire dragon flew towards Yin at once. With fear on his face, Gu Jianga grabbed the dragon-slaying sword and slashed out a light beam to strike Yin apart. Like Cloud's Light, Slash from the Final Fantasy series. It's the neutral special on Smash 4. Gu Jianga was born with the sword's spirit, martial spirit, allowing him to communicate with the sword, which made his skills look extremely fluent. With the smile returning back on his face, Gu Jianga shook his head slightly. Brother Shi, why in such a hurry? The hornless fire dragon and the light beam chased up to Yin at once. Yin looked callous and never turned his eyes towards Gu Jianga at all, but instead headed for the soul-gathering pool. Freezing air gushed out from the blood vein ring, and during his actions, Yin's body froze and turned into a little glacier. The hornless fire dragon and the light beam could not damage the ice at all. Pooh! Yin didn't pay attention to Gu Jianga, but instead jumped into the soul-gathering pool. Gu Jianga was shocked. He wasn't worried about Yin fighting him, but that Yin was heading to the soul-gathering pool. The soul mirror inside the soul-gathering pool connected the two spaces. If it was ruined by Yin and Mojito was restrained, and if they couldn't kill Mo Duanhuan, then they would surely get into trouble. The moment Yin showed up, Gu Jianga had already sent a message to his father. He had to keep Yin out of the pool and wait for his father. Gu Jianga assumed that Yin would take revenge first. However, Yin came directly for the soul-gathering pool. So, what Yin did was totally out of Gu Jianga's expectation. When he was prepared to defend, he found Yin had already jumped into the soul-gathering pool. Thus, he became very anxious since he couldn't jump in it after Yin. Jianga, what happened? With a crossing lightning, Gu Lai showed up with a gloomy face in the valley. Why call me back? Yin went into the soul-gathering pool. Gu Jianga was anxious. Yin? Gu Lai was surprised, and then he realized, the guy taken by the ice-cold flame? He is still alive? No, and he could even use the cold power of the ice-cold flame. He could control the ice-cold flame. Gu Lai's expression changed. I will inform Mojito at once to fight against the ice-cold flame. Chapter 169, Octagon Demon Formation. Chapter 169, Octagon Demon Formation. Inside the soul-gathering pool, souls were floating in every corner of the dark pool water. Dead smell filled the soul-gathering pool, so once Yin fell into the pool, he could feel certain coldness in his heart. Endless souls starting popping up. Those souls waved their claws and scratched on Yan's body, trying to eat him up. The cold air from the ice-cold flame was freezing the pool water quickly. Even the souls were frozen by the cold air from the ice-cold flame and couldn't approach Shi. Forget about these souls. Go down the pool. The ice-cold flame was shining in the blood vein ring. Shi was excited too. Since he could finally adapt to the cold air, the frost on his body was not hard at all. The frost on him was like a soft armor, and it did not influence his move. Holding his breath, Shi dived down deeper into the pool. Before souls after souls could approach him, they were frozen by the ice-cold flame. The numerous quantity of souls in the soul-gathering pool posed no threat to Shi. Without any distraction, Shi focused his gaze at the bottom of the pool. However, since there were too many souls in the soul-gathering pool, and as the water was black, Shi couldn't see his surroundings clearly. Down left, the ice-cold flame started instructing as soon as it went down the soul-gathering pool. It was not only helping Shi evade from the souls, it also pointed out the position of the soul-gathering pearl for him. It was trying its best to obtain the soul-gathering pearl. The ice-cold flame had special life structure, so it could easily send out its soul power to detect the soul-gathering pool, but Shi couldn't. Since his eyes were blurred, Shi followed the ice-cold flame's instruction. With its help, he could easily move. Keep going. Down. Attention. Almost there. The blood vein ring kept sparkling, and the ice-cold flame was excitedly sending out messages. Under the instruction of the ice-cold flame, Shi dived down the soul-gathering pool and changed his positions accordingly. A few minutes later, a bunch of light showed up in the black pool. Shi looked at the direction where the light came in amazement. There was an ancient octagon formation. At the 8 angles of the ancient formation, there were 8 colorful demon crystals, each having energy waves, showing 8 layers of light and covering that ancient octagon formation. At the center of the ancient octagon formation, there was a demon crystal as big as a fist, on which there were black spots which looked like a ghost if looked carefully. On the 8 angles of the ancient octagon formation, there were 8 demon crystals, which seemed to be protecting the black demon crystal at the center. Apparently, the 8 layers of barriers were from the 8 demon crystals on the angles, which were protecting the soul-gathering pearl at the center. At the center of the ancient octagon formation, the soul-gathering pearl was shining and producing mysterious soul waves. On the surface of the soul-gathering pearl, every time a black spot blinked, a soul flew out and went through the barriers of the ancient formation into the soul-gathering pool. Countless souls gathered on the surface of the soul-gathering pool and formed a strange mirror on the pool. Shi looked up at the pool surface and found a black hole which was letting out boiling demonic air. The demonic air flew out from the soul-gathering pool and concentrated in the sky, becoming the energy resource of Demon Dweller. From the outside of the soul-gathering pool, Shi couldn't find this scene. Now he could see the mysterious soul mirror from the bottom of the soul-gathering pool. The soul mirror was connecting 2 spaces, which let out demon air from the 4th demon area, supporting Mojito to fight against Emoduanhuan. It was the soul-gathering pearl which made the soul-gathering pool produce the soul mirror. The thousands of souls released by the soul-gathering pearl made the soul mirror. Once the soul-gathering pearl was taken out from that formation, the thousands of souls in the pool would go back into the soul-gathering pearl. At that moment, the soul mirror would disappear naturally. Since the bridge between the 2 spaces was gone, Demon Master Mojito's soul also couldn't get back to the demon area by the soul mirror. And the demonic air also couldn't get into the Clouds Island. The key to everything was the soul-gathering pearl. As he was approaching the soul-gathering pearl, a couple of ideas popped up Shi's mind. He gazed at the octagon formation of the soul-gathering pearl and communicated with the ice-cold flame. There are barriers. How to break it? Octagon demon formation. The ice-cold flame cried. It is that faction. That faction could form Soul Mirror with the help of the soul-gathering pearl and call for outside demons to take part in the battle. The Octagon demon formation was one of the vicious strategies of that heresy. They made the level 8 demon crystals as the formation eyes to protect the soul-gathering pearl. The Octagon demon formation produced 8 light waves and provided solid defense. 8 demon crystals from level 8 demon beasts are formation eyes to protect the soul-gathering pearl? Damn. Shi cursed. How to break it? This is not the real Octagon demon formation. These 8 demon crystals are from level 7 demon beasts, which don't contain demon soul and had weaker power. This soul-gathering pearl is the demon crystal of a level 8 soul-gathering beast. The soul-gathering pearl from the level 9 soul-gathering beast could defend the Octagon demon formation formed by 8 level 8 demon beast demon crystals. Sure. At the prime of that faction, a soul-gathering pearl from a level 9 soul-gathering beast could form a soul mirror and call for demons. What to do now? Shi Yin had came to the Octagon demon formation, but dared not take any action. He asked the ice-cold flame, "Use your strongest move to strike at one demon crystal." The light barriers on the Octagon demon formation are connected together. But once one of the demon crystals breaks, the Octagon demon formation will break too. Demon crystals from level 7 demon beast. It will not be easy to break. The demon crystal on a demon beast was the hardest thing on it. A demon crystal from a demon beast was even harder than a soul-level weapon. Shi Yin could barely break it. These demon crystals had existed for thousands of years, and some of their demon energy had been consumed. The blue demon crystal had lost 70% of its demon energy. I would also help you, and you may break it. If you can't, we have to leave and give up the soul-gathering pearl. The ice-cold flame responded quickly. Let's give it a try. Shi Yin took a deep breath and stared at the blue rhombus demon crystal. After some stimulating his negative energy, the negative energy in his body began to boil and it started moving all over his body. Thus his energy suddenly doubled. The first sky of rampage. At the same time, from the ice-cold flame flew out cold energy and it concentrated on Shi Yin's arms and legs, getting ready for a fight. His blood was boiling, and the negative energy inside his meridians gushed into the blood. With cold air, his blood boiled and a strong energy ran through his body. Shi Yin's energy suddenly doubled. The second sky of rampage. Yes, this energy. It can break that demon crystal. The ice-cold flame spirited up. You can produce such strong energy. Doubled. Enough. Definitely enough. Shi Yin focused to trigger his seals of life and death and combined them to create the seal of life and death. With the seal of life and death, a stream of cold air gushed out from his palm and rushed to the rhombus blue demon crystal. Pa! That rhombus blue demon crystal directly exploded into small chips after being struck by the seal of life and death, shooting in all directions. The 8-layer light suddenly disappeared from the soul-gathering pearl. Shi Yin at once tried to catch the soul-gathering pearl in joy. Dash. Chapter 170. Got it? Chapter 170 got it. The 8-layer lights of the Octagon demon formation dispersed because of the explosion of the blue demon crystal. The power of the other demon crystals at the other 7 corners weakened greatly upon the explosion of the blue one. The lights they gave out also faded gradually. Seeing that the Octagon demon formation was broken, Shi Yin went to grab the soul-gathering pearl without hesitation. Hold on! The order of the ice-cold flame was heard from the blood vein ring. Shi Yin was a little surprised and stopped his hand midway. All of a sudden, numerous ferocious ghosts and souls were flying from the soul-gathering pool, in the form of hundreds of black lights, into the soul-gathering pearl. The soul-gathering pearl is at its weakest when it is gathering souls. Now move, and remember to use fake souls to resist the attack of the souls. The ice-cold flame ordered. Remember, once you get the pearl, spit on it. Do not forget this. Spit on it once you get it, so the pearl will not be able to use the soul attack on you anymore. Shit, how can I spit here? It's all water. I will use ice to form a barrier to stop the water from you once you get hold of the pearl. Okay. After the short communication with the ice-cold flame, Shi Yin went on fetching for the soul-gathering pearl and grabbed it. In an instant, numerous souls were attacking Shi Yin's soul like billions of sharp swords shooting from the pearl. The souls in the pearl were pouring out as if they had found a long-sought outlet at the moment Shi Yin grabbed the pearl. They went along Shi Yin's arm and were rushing into Shi Yin's mind. At this crucial moment, Shi Yin's mind went blank, without a single thought. The fake soul in his mind, however, was extremely active, and it let out intense hatred. The billions of souls pouring out from the soul-gathering pearl immediately found their target, and they all attacked at the center of Shi Yan's fake soul. Shi Yan felt a sharp pain in his mind. The illusions made by the fake soul were shattered under the attack of the souls from the soul-gathering pearl, and Shi Yan felt as if he himself was killed for hundreds of times. For a moment, Shi Yan's mind went blank. With the stigmas and the fake soul shattered, he was going through the process of death again and again, and his major soul went unconscious for a period of time. Spit? At this moment, an icy coldness was sent out by the ice-cold flame from the blood vein ring. Shi Yan came to himself, suddenly, and found that water had been kept away from him before he had noticed it. Having no time to hesitate, Shi Yan spat on the soul-gathering pearl in his hand. Miracle happened. The spit immediately formed a white thin film around the pearl, covering 1/5 of the pearl's surface. Keep spitting, but do not seal the pearl. The ice-cold flame urged again. Dare not hesitate. Shi Yan spat on the pearl twice more, and the thin film was formed again around the pearl, now covering 3/5 of the pearl. Thinking twice, Shi Yan thought it was not safe enough, and was about to spit once more. Enough. Once the film covers all of the pearl's surface, the power of the souls it gathered will be sealed temporarily. The ice-cold flame reminded Shi Yan to stop him. Shi Yan stopped and stared at the soul-gathering pearl in his hand. The soul's power, the pearl gathered, kept flowing out from the 2/5 part of the pearl which had not been covered by the white thin film. More ferocious ghosts and souls were drawn out from the soul-gathering pool into the pearl. The soul-gathering pool, which was originally as black as ink, was turning clearer and clearer as the souls in it were vanishing into the soul-gathering pearl. The pool water was recovering to its normal state. Overhead, cracks were appearing on the soul mirror formed by tens of thousands of souls. The mirror was about to crush down. Soon, all the souls here will be gathered by the pearl and the mirror will vanish, the ice-cold flame boasted. Only I know how to seal the soul-gathering pearl. Once anyone else drops a single drop of his blood on the pearl, he will be devoured without a single trace left by the souls in the pearl. The soul-gathering pearl is different from any other normal treasures. It does not recognize its master by blood. It can only be sealed by spit. Every time you want to use it, you just need to remove a part of the spit around it. Shi Yan was holding the soul-gathering pearl, and the ghosts and souls were gathered by the pearl. Everything was going along the plan, and the ice-cold flame seemed to be excited. Shi Yan felt relieved and gathered the other 7 demon crystals used to form the Octagon demon formation. After this, he began swimming to the surface of the pool. On the sky over the clouds island, in the dense demon clouds, the icy evil soul had been fighting with Mo Duanhuan for several times, and was unable to destroy Mo's soul yet. At this moment, it received a message from Gulai. Mojito abandoned Mo Duanhuan out of fear, and rushed towards the valley where the soul-gathering pool was located in. After sending out the message, Gulai did not dare to stay in the valley any longer and hid in a corner together with Gu Jianga, in the fear of being attacked by the ice-cold flame. Both Guile and Gu Swordsong knew the horrible power of the Skyfire, especially the Skyfire that has obtained a matching physical body. That would be the most horrible creature in the world. Both Gulai and Gu Jianga took it for granted that the ice-cold flame had obtained Shi Yan's physical body, after they realized that Shi Yan could use the icy power of the ice-cold flame. They could never expect that the ice-cold flame had been sealed by Shi Yan's blood vein ring. With its consciousness sealed, the power that the ice-cold flame could give out was limited. If it had not been sealed by the blood stripe ring, the icy power of the ice-cold flame could easily freeze the whole of Cloud's Island. Now, it could only freeze the valley, which was much weaker than its original power. Gulai and Gu Jianga could not thought of this, of course. They were too afraid of the ice-cold flame, and were 100% sure that Shi Yan was already dead with the ice-cold flame was controlling his physical body, after they found that Shi Yan dared to enter the soul-gathering pool. Both of them had experienced in person the mysteriousness and terribleness of the soul-gathering pool. If Shi Yan was merely a warrior in the disaster realm, how could he dare to enter the pool? Gulai and Gu Jianga chose to hide themselves, waiting for the demon master Mojito's soul to come and help. On the Clouds Island, Imo Duanhuan's face went pale. Floating in the sky, he released his spirit to scout the surrounding. The ice-cold flame had frozen the valley, and the demon master Mojito's soul was also heading for the same valley. Imo Duanhuan, of course, also released his spirit to focus on the valley. When he felt an extremely cold chi from the valley, he immediately recalled what Xia Xinyan had once told him. He immediately knew that Shi Yin was in the valley. Shi Yin was dragged into the depth of the glacier by the ice-cold flame. The icy chi in the valley was so strong that it must be from the ice-cold flame. Before he came here, Mo Duanhun knew that Shi Yin was not dead, but would appear on the Clouds Island from King Yongqing. Then, analyzing all these, Mo Duanhun knew for sure that Shi Yin was now in the valley. Mo Duanhun's facial expression was complex. Floating in the sky, many thoughts were flowing in his mind. That guy will somebody become the future head of the Yang family. No matter what, you have to bring Shi Yin back to Immortal Island safe and sound. The words of Emperor Yongqing reappeared in Mo Duanhun's ears. After a short period of hesitation, he changed into a flash of green light and flew to the valley. The warriors in the 3 mines of the Gu family were all killed by Shura Bloodguard, Xia Xian Yin, and He Qingman. At this moment, Shura Bloodguard and Wind Thunder Flying Lion were also flying in the sky, seeking for Gu Lai and Gu Jiang's traces on Clouds Island.
Strange.
Xia Xinyan cried. Demon Master Mojito and Master Imo both went to that valley. He Qingman lowered her head, looking into the direction of the valley. She also found the situation strange. What's going on? Demon Master Mojito is so powerful. Why he went to the valley on his way? And so is Master Imo. Why doesn't he leave Clouds Island now, but followed the Demon Master? As long as Master Imo does not use his power to destroy the demon fire that is confining Clouds Island now, we cannot leave the island. Xia Xinyan lamented. Let's go nearer to see what's going on there. Okay. He Manqing moved her legs, and Wind Thunder Flying Lion immediately knew her decision, flying to the valley. It's so cold. After a few minutes flying, He Manqing couldn't help shaking. What's going on? Why is that valley so icy cold? Why, Sister Xinyan? Xia Xinyan was also shaking, and tears were welling up in her eyes. She was choking with sobs. It's him. It's him. He in the valley. Who? He Qingman was confused at first and then realized whom she meant, crying disbelievingly, You mean Shi Yin? It must be him. Xia Xinyan nodded affirmatively, saying as if smiling when crying, that guy was dragged into an ice hole by the ice-cold flame, and now, the icy chi in the valley is clearly from the ice-cold flame. Then, if the flame is in the valley, he must be there too. If the ice-cold flame is there, can he be alive? He Qingman found it unbelievable. After second thought, she said with a strange expression, But if his soul was controlled by the ice-cold, and then it makes sense that his physical body still exists. He's not dead, to some extent. Does the master of Yang family mean this by saying that Shi Yin is alive? Xia Xinyan's body shook and then, she stared at He Qingman angrily. Qingman, stop telling this kind of joke. It's not funny at all. He Qingman was surprised. Knowing that Xia Xinyan was genuinely angry, she shut her mouth, not daring to utter another word. She only sighed silently. It was so cold in the valley, and obviously the ice-cold flame was there now. How could Shi Yin, a warrior in the disaster realm, survive there? Even if he was alive, he must be a walking dead now. Chapter 171. The Royalty-Level Secret Treasure. Chapter 171. The Royalty-Level Secret Treasure. Sponsored by Bornemissa Peter, Daniel Lee, and E.G. Arakan. Grabbing the soul-gathering pearl, Shi Yin was swiftly swimming towards the surface of the pool. Numerous souls in the pool were turning into black lights and going straight into the soul-gathering pearl. The soul-gathering pearl, whose 3/5 area was covered by Shi Yan's spit, still generated huge attraction to the souls, collecting all the souls in the pool into itself. Shi Yin finally surfaced on the pool. After taking a deep breath of fresh air, he began to climb onto the edge. Then, There came the ice-cold flame's order, "Don't come out." Shi Yin was surprised and confused, but he obeyed the ice-cold flame's warning and took several breaths of fresh air and went back into the pool. He was originally good at challenging his extremes and had always played the game of holding breath underwater. Thus, staying underwater for a long time was a piece of cake to him. In this world, even without practicing martial arts, he could stay for 7 to 8 minutes underwater. Now, his body was no longer the same as the normal people and had much more power compared to before. Now, he could easily stay for half an hour underwater. After taking a deep breath of air, Shi Yin went back into the water and then asked the ice-cold flame, "What's wrong?" "There's a very tough guy hiding in the valley right now. According to the ranking of you human beings, he is in the Nirvana realm. My power is confined by the ring and I'm unable to kill that guy. Only if you let me out of this ring would I be able to, or else you cannot deal with him on your own." The ice-cold flame thus explained. A warrior in the Nirvana realm? Shi Yin was shocked. After a moment of meditation, he realized that the guy the ice-cold flame was talking about was probably Gu Jiang's father, Gu Lai. On his way to Cloud's Island, he heard something about the Gu family from Linda. He was told that Gu Lai and his son Gu Jiang stayed on Cloud's Island to plan the negotiation with the Yang family, and Gu Lai was in the Nirvana realm. In this valley, first, there was only Gu Jiang. Now, there was another warrior, meaning that it was very likely to be Gu Lai. Most of the ice-cold flame's power was sealed in the ring and could not be fully used. Although the soul-gathering pearl was very powerful, it was powerful only to souls. Gu Lai still had his physical body, so the pearl would only have very little impact on him. It was impossible to control him with the pearl. If Shi Yin came out of the pool and Gu Lai truly wanted to kill him, then Shi Yin would not be able to go against Gu Lai. Ironically, Shi Yin had no idea that Gu Lai was actually more afraid of him. You have to wait until he has left. While you're in the soul-gathering pool, he does not dare to come in to kill you. Now, slow down gathering the souls in the pool so that the pool water will not be too clear. Be careful, and once you find someone else in the pool, sink down immediately. Shi Yin nodded in the water. Okay. After replying to the flame, Shi Yin dived down a little bit and kept his face up to watch closely at the surface of the pool. Many souls had been collected by the soul-gathering pearl, and the soul mirror over the pool had vanished. Without the soul mirror, the channel connecting the two realms no longer existed. There was no more demon chi coming in from the demon realm. Shi Yin was a little bit nervous. Concentrating on the pool's surface, he was alert and ready to react to any changes. At a secret corner in the valley, Gu Lai and Gu Jiang were hiding. They were even more cautious than Shi Yin. They had spotted Shi Yin coming from the water, but neither of them dared to take action. Instead, they were waiting for the soul of the demon master Mojito. The flying speed of souls was much faster than those of human bodies. As soon as demon master Mojito received Guile's message, demon clouds began gathering over the valley. The demon clouds were forming an enormous demon shadow at the center of the demon clouds. An evil chi dashed down towards Gu Lai all of a sudden. "Where's the soul mirror? Gu Lai, you cheated me. How dare you? I'll show you no mercy." "Please, don't be angry." Gu Lai was petrified. He said, "I really wanted to help you. That's why I killed so many villagers and gathered newly born souls to open us the channel for you to connect the two realms. But I never expected that something would happen on the way." A type of skyfire had obtained a man's physical body and controlled the man down into the soul-gathering pool to destroy the soul-gathering pearl. Gu Lai was so terrified that he explained the situation rapidly and added, "I've always wanted to cooperate with you, and I never expected that things would turn out this way." Skyfire? Mojito's consciousness was heard from the demon clouds. Then go down into the pool to see if the man got the soul-gathering pearl or not. As long as he has not obtained it, I have my ways to deal with him. But if he knows how to use the pearl, then even I do not dare to fight with him head-on. Me, going down? Gu Lai forced a smile on his face. The ice-cold flame is very powerful, and once I get into the pool, I will be frozen to death. If you don't go down, I will destroy your soul right now. Mojito's consciousness said brutally, "Stop saying any more rubbish. Go down into the soul-gathering pool now." If you waste my time, I'll kill both you and your son. Gu Lai's face went pale. He took a glimpse of Gu Jianga by his side and gritted his teeth. Okay, I'll go. Whoosh! At this moment, a flash of green light flew across the sky. The detached-looking Imo Duanhuan suddenly appeared over the valley. Frowning, he spread his mind over the whole valley and immediately sensed the location of Gu Lai and Gu Jianga. Gu Lai, how dare you? You ganged up with the demons. Do you know what the Yang family hates the most? Gu Lai, who was just about to take action, looked over at Imo Duanhuan surprisingly. Fear filled his eyes. Gu Jianga lowered his head and kept silent. He had no idea what to do at this moment. It didn't matter if it was the demon master Mojito or the top of the three Shura kings, Imo Duanhuan. As long as they wanted to kill them, they had no chance to survive. At this moment, he dared not to take action, for he does not want to annoy Imo Duanhuan, who could destroy his soul in an instant. Gu Lai was in a dilemma. He could not answer Imo Duanhuan, of course, and could only send a message to Mojito via his soul. What do I do now? Stop hesitating. Go down the pool now and see what happened. Leave Imo Duanhuan to me. As long as I'm here, there's nothing he can do. The demon master Mojito replied impatiently. Then, the demon clouds began changing forms. All of a sudden, the demon shadow distorted and covered Imo Duanhuan like a black veil. Although it was Mojito's soul that had come, it had the power of the god realm. His soul could gather demon chi to form various forms of powerful attacks. The demon clouds covered Imo Duanhuan and numerous evil chi began to attack him. These forces could destroy the souls of all creatures, and they were all rushing towards Imo Duanhuan's soul. Sounds of explosion were heard in the valley. The attacks of the evil chi were just as powerful as physical attacks. The valley, which had been frozen by the ice-cold flame, was exploding. Ice and stones were flying everywhere, giving out blinding lights. The attack of the demon master Mojito had destroyed the solid ice which sealed the whole valley. Imo Duanhuan became a shining spot in all the evil chi. Then a flashing light came out of the explosion. From this light, trees, flowers, grass, creatures, people, countries, and landscapes were vaguely visible. The image of universal nature. A woman's cry was heard from the valley. He Ching Man was screaming full of surprise. This is the image of universal nature, the royalty secret treasure of the Yang family. This is the most powerful one out of the Yang family's defense treasures, and it had rarely appeared beyond the Immortal Island. Master Imo brought it this time. No wonder he could sustain Mojito's soul attacks for such a long time. Xia Xinyan's eyes also shined. The image of universal nature encompasses all the creatures and landscapes in the world. All the lives, trees and grass, demon beasts, countries and landscapes. The Yang family had spent much effort on producing it. It not only encompasses all the creatures and landscapes in the world, but can also resist any attack, including soul attacks. Royalty secret treasure is truly powerful. He Ching Man was very excited. I've only heard about the image of universal nature before. This is the first time I have seen it in person. How amazing! In the sky, Missouri Duanhuan was standing in the center of the image of universal nature as a shining point. Around the shining point, all kinds of images were projected and kept changing. The demon master Mojito's soul attacks needed to pierce through all the layers of images projected by the image of universal nature. However, the power of the attacks weakened after going through every layer. Imo Duanhuan knew that his soul was not in the same realm with that of Mojito, so he did not dare to fight soul to soul with Mojito. He only used the image of universal nature to resist Mojito's soul attacks and did not have a way to fight back. At this moment, Gu Lai was heading towards the soul-gathering pool under Mojito's order. Shi Yin is probably at the bottom of the pool. Imo Duanhuan shouted all of a sudden, "Do not let Gu Lai go into the pool." Since the level 6 Wind Thunder Flying Lion was faster than the level 4 or 5 Cyan Bloodbats, the Shura Blood Guards had not arrived in the valley yet. Now, only Xia Xinyan and He Ching Man were floating over the valley. Hearing Imo Duanhuan's shout, He Ching Man pursed her lips and whispered, "Gu Lai is in the Nirvana realm. I cannot beat him. What's worse is that the demon master Mojito is here." If I go to fight against Gulai now, I'm very likely to be attacked by Mojito. I cannot act rashly. I'll go. Knowing that Shi Yin might be at the bottom of the pool, Xia Xinyan, without any hesitation, drew a deep breath, activated her reincarnation martial spirit, jumped from the back of the wind thunder flying lion while entering the sky realm. She then rushed towards Gulai, who had reached the side of the pool. Seeing Xia Xinyan descending from the sky, Gulai's face turned as pale as death. He froze there as if waiting for something. A flash of a soul attack suddenly came from the demon clouds. Xia Xinyan, who had been flying in the sky, suddenly fell down, her mouth full of blood. Sister Xinyan, He Ching Man cried. She tapped the wind thunder flying lion, whom then flew rapidly towards Xia Xinyan and caught her before she dropped onto the ground. He Ching Man tore down Xia Xinyan's veil and found that her face was as pale as a white piece of paper. The lights in her eyes were fading and blood was streaming down from her mouth. Sister Xinyan. He Ching Man was extremely worried. She took out a pill from her pockets and put it into Xia Xinyan's mouth. Then, riding the flying lion, she took Xia Xinyan away from the soul-gathering pool. Chapter 172. The Demon King was alarmed. Chapter 172. The Demon King was alarmed. In the soul-gathering pool, Shi Yin looked up at the surface of the pool, guarding cautiously against Gulai who might come down at any time. Being in the pool, he was not aware of what was happening outside. He did not know that in such a short period of time, both Demon Master Mojito and Imo Duanhuan had arrived in the valley. Since a large number of souls had been absorbed by the soul-gathering pearl, the soul-gathering pool looked much clearer than before. Being in the pool, Shi Yin sensed a violent tremor coming from the valley as if the earth was shaking. This made him more alert, looking out for any trace of danger from above. All of a sudden, a familiar figure appeared over the pool. Xia Xinyan. Although he could not see it clearly from the pool, Shi Yin immediately recognized Xia Xinyan through her perfect body. Xia's beautiful figure flew past the pool. Suddenly she started falling and was caught by a demon beast. All of this happened in an instant, and when Shi Yin realized that Xia Xinyan was injured, she had disappeared, carried away by the wind thunder lion. Shi Yin felt a surge of rage. No longer hiding, Shi Yin swam up towards the surface of the pool as fast as he could. What are you doing? That guy must be still there. The ice-cold flame responded soon. Shi Yin did not reply. His face looked ferocious, and an aura of evil, craziness, and hatred surrounded him. Suddenly, Shi Yin entered the two-fold sky, and his power doubled. Don't go out, the ice-cold flame shouted anxiously. Shi Yin turned a deaf ear to it. Splash! Waves appeared on the surface of the soul-gathering pool. Shi Yin jumped out of the pool and stood on the bank with a fierce-looking face. Gulai, who was about to enter the pool, was shocked. Seeing Shi Yin appeared, he hurried to hide, running towards Gujianga. Gulai had always believed that Shi Yan's body was occupied by the ice-cold flame, knowing that he himself was no rival to the sky fire. So upon seeing Shi Yin, he immediately hid himself to avoid face-to-face confrontation. Coming out of the soul-gathering pool, Shi Yin glanced around himself maliciously. In the sky over the valley, dense demon clouds were surrounding a ball of green light. The impact of the soul's attack were spreading everywhere. Gulai was rushing to a mountain cave beside him. He could vaguely see the figure of Gujianga at the entrance of the cave. Far away, a demon beast was leaving the valley, carrying Xia Xinyan. On the back of the beast, there was another hot woman, who was feeding Xinyan some pills. Xinyan, Shi Yin shouted to the sky, standing beside the pool. He Ching Man, who was on the back of the wind thunder lion, was rather shocked by Shi Yan's cry. She looked down and saw Shi Yin, who was both sad and angry. She was badly soul-attacked by Demon Master Mojito. He Ching Man shouted back, gritting her teeth. For you. She was trying to save you. Mojito. Shi Yin looked up at the sky, asking the ice-cold flame with his mind, how can we absorb his soul? Turn the part of the soul-gathering pearl which has been covered towards the guy's soul. and use your mind power to form a connection between his soul and the soul-gathering pearl. You only need to release a part of your mind power, get close to the guy's soul, and the soul-gathering pearl will connect with his soul automatically. Then the pearl will absorb his soul. Got it. Yin immediately released some mind power, and this power formed a light beam, shooting straight up into the demon clouds in the sky. Suddenly, a beam of black light shot from the uncovered part of the soul-gathering pearl. Then, streams of soul's lights started shooting from the soul-gathering pearl, feeding into the weird-looking black light which shone at Demon Master Mojito's soul. Numerous souls were appearing from the black light and were condensing in the beam. The souls were tangling with each other, empowering the black light to the extent that Demon Master Mojito's soul were unable to withstand it any longer. In the thick demon clouds, Demon Master Mojito's soul was captured by the black light and it could not move a single bit. The demon shadow started wavering and was drawn into the black light generated from the soul-gathering pearl. Who dares to do this to me? An enormous mind message was spreading across the whole valley that every warrior in the valley could hear it clearly. This was the consciousness of Demon Master Mojito. However, with his soul constrained, this mind message only conveyed his consciousness without the power of soul attack. Whoever you are, Yin sneered, you will not go back once you came. I'll kill you. I'll make you wish you've never been born. The consciousness of Demon Master Mojito was sounding in the valley, but the demon shadow formed by his soul was being absorbed into the black light shining from the soul-gathering pearl. The soul-gathering pearl was only effective to souls. If it was Demon Master Mojito himself, not the soul that had come, then Yin would not be able to beat him even after 100 years. Mojito, who was in the spirit realm, was one of the 4 demon masters in the 4th demon area, and was the most powerful one under the 2 Demon King. No matter in the 4th demon area or the Endless Sea, he was so notorious that everybody was afraid of him. Common warriors was petrified upon hearing the title of Demon Master, let alone wanting to fight against him. Years ago, King Yang Qing led a group of excellent warriors from the Yang family to the 4th demon area, and only killed 1 demon master after going through all kinds of dangers. And they were severely injured by the other 3 demon masters that they barely made it back to the Endless Sea. And Mojito was among the demon master who had barely killed King Yang Qing. And now, Yin, a warrior merely in the disaster realm, was not afraid of Mojito and was about to destroy Mojito's soul with the help of the soul-gathering pearl. This was too shocking to the warriors present in the valley. Surprise even surfaced on Imo Duanhuan's expressionless face. He was now at the center of the image of universal nature, looking down unbelievingly at Yin. The Shurigards who had just arrived all felt Mojito's consciousness, and all heard Yin's challenge to Mojito. These Shurigards were all startled. Some of them rubbed their eyes, wondering if something were wrong with their eyes. Gu Lai and Gu Jianga were cringing at the entrance of the cave. They were too shocked that their face went pale. He Qing Man, who was on the back of the Wind Thunder Lion, were more than surprised, not knowing what was going on down there. She had never heard of the soul-gathering pearl, let alone that the soul-gathering pearl in Yin's hand that could constrain Mojito's soul. She found the whole thing unreal. Yin trapped Mojito's soul with the black light, and was drawing Mojito's soul into the black crystal ball in his hand. Yin turned a blind eye to the surroundings, and was coldly staring at the black light and Mojito's soul that was drawn into the soul-gathering pearl. Great, great. The ice-cold flame was excited. This is the soul of the spirit realm master. This guy's soul is as powerful as hundreds of thousands of common people's souls combined. Getting this soul, the soul-gathering pearl, can be used to refine the pure soul power. That will be enough for us too. Yin kept his silence, concentrating his mind to guide the black light. Holding the soul-gathering pearl, he could feel vaguely that there was some connection between himself and the black light. Through the black light, he could feel how horribly powerful Mojito's soul was. The chi of Mojito's soul was as enormous as oceans, as high as mountains. Feeling it for merely 1 second, one would feel awed and would no longer dare to fight against it. If Yin had not been so strong-willed, he would probably broke down under the enormous pressure from Mojito's soul and would very likely flee. The shock to the soul was sometimes much more powerful than the attacks on the physical body. Suddenly, a consciousness of worship was sent out from Mojito's soul in the black light. A strange type of aura started spreading in the valley as if Mojito's soul was eulogizing something, as if it was praying to some god, praying for a gift from God. In the valley, demon air was now gathering 100 times faster, and in the gray sky, a visible crack appeared. Demon air was pouring down from the crack like flood breaching the dike. A huge white bony hand suddenly reached out from the crack. The hand was as white as jade, yet dense demon air was coming from its fingers and palm. In a moment, the whole Clouds Island was covered by demon air. The 5 fingers of the huge white hand curled, each finger as big as a mountain. They came out of nowhere and went straight to fetch Mojito's soul in the black light. Yin, release. Emo Duanhuan shouted in the sky. Release. The ice-cold flame also informed. Yin was shocked. He does not dare to hesitate and cut off his mind power at once, and covered the black part of the soul-gathering pearl with one hand. The connection between the black light and the soul-gathering pearl broke immediately. The huge white bony hand grabbed randomly, and the black light coming from the soul-gathering pearl was shattered like pieces of glass. The hand did not stay longer, as it only grabbed Mojito's soul and cringed back into the crack. Boy, I remember the stigma of your soul. A consciousness that was powerful enough to destroy the whole world was heard from the crack. All colors of light were shining in the crack, and the thick demon air over Clouds Island was streaming crazily into the crack. In an instant, all the demon air had disappeared into the crack without a single trace. Crimson clouds at sunset began to appear in the sky, shiny and beautiful. Now, it was at dusk. Cold sweats appeared on Yan's forehead. One of his hand was still covering the exposed part of the soul-gathering pearl. Even now, he could not dare to loosen his grip. Demon King Bo-sun, skeletal avatar, gritting his teeth, Yin looked up at the sky. His face looked serious but determined. Chapter 173, The Beauty Fell Asleep. Chapter 173, The Beauty Fell Asleep. All was quiet in the valley. All the warriors in the valley were looking up in the sky at the crack that was gradually closing, and the huge white bony hand that was being pulled back into the crack. It was Demon King Bo-sun, one of the 2 supremacies in the 4 demon areas. Seeing Demon Master Mojito being trapped, he used his power to tear apart the space and brought Mojito's soul back to the demon area. If it was not the huge white bony hand of Bo-sun, Mojito's soul would have hardly survived the power of the soul-gathering pearl. Even his soul was in the spirit realm. It could not get rid of the constraints of the soul-gathering pool, and would be among the hundreds of thousands of souls absorbed by the pearl. The appearance of Bo-sun's huge white bony hand had shocked all of the warriors in the valley. Under the pressure of the hand's horribly destructive power, even Emo Duanhuan felt somewhat helpless. Fortunately, Bo-sun's aim was merely to bring Mojito's soul back. If he was really determined to deal with the warriors in the valley, then all the people in the valley would probably die except for Emo Duanhuan, who might be able to use the image of universal nature to escape. Yin was looking up at the sunglow. His face looked extremely serious. This was the second time that he had seen the Demon King taking action. The first time was on his way to the Endless Sea, when Skeletal Avatar suddenly appeared and grabbed Xiaohani into the 4th demon area. This time, Bo-sun's Skeletal Avatar reappeared and saved Mojito. The extraordinary power of Bo-sun truly frightened Yin. The huge pressure on people's souls made them feel like they were fighting against an invincible god. No wonder people would easily give up fighting. If it were not his extraordinarily tough mind, he would be kneeling down at Bo-sun's terrifying power. Emo Duanhuan, too, was watching the crack in the sky closing with a serious look. He waited until the last trace of demon air had disappeared on the Clouds Island and then flew down from the sky, standing beside Yin. Master Yin, Emo Duanhuan bowed slightly. I was ordered by the family master to come here and take you to the Immortal Island. Yin frowned. You knew I'm still alive? My family master used 3 drops of immortal blood and knew that you had not been possessed by the ice-cold flame, and that you will be here on the Clouds Island by now. Then, we agreed to reconcile with the Gu family, and chose to come here since that we knew you would be here too. Emo Duanhuan nodded. I see. Shi Yin was rather surprised. He was surprised by the master of the Yang family, King Yang Qing's methods. He merely used 3 drops of immortal blood and knew whether Shi Yin was dead or alive. This was almost as powerful as God. It was said that King Yang Qing had entered the spirit realm after he had finished cultivating his vital energy, and that his power had been enhanced substantially. It seemed that the rumors were true now. Do we need to deal with Gu Lai and his son first? Shi Yin was about to say something else until he saw Gu Lai in the cave beside them. Emo Duanhuan expressionlessly nodded, and then asked for Shi Yan's opinion. How would you want to deal with them? Gu Lai and Gu Jianga looked pale after seeing Mojito's soul being constrained by Shi Yan's soul-gathering pearl. Now, their faces were even more paler. Hearing the conversation between Shi Yin and Emo Duanhuan, they looked at each other, and hopelessness filled their eyes. How would you deal with people who had colluded with demon dwellers? Shi Yin thought for a few seconds and sneered. These two used the secret methods of that faction to kill thousands of common people, used their souls to build the bridge for demon dwellers, and then guided Demon Master Mojito here. Having committed this kind of crime, do they deserve to be killed? They do. Emo Duanhuan nodded. I'll kill Gu Lai first, and keep Gu Jianga alive so that we can take him back to the Gu family. Then, we can use Gu Jianga's memory to prove what had happened in this valley. At that time, the Gu family will have to admit what they had done. Okay, do as you wish. Shi Yin smiled. Emo Duanhuan said no more. Emo Duanhuan was originally standing beside Shi Yin, but now, his figure became gradually fuzzy as he was disappearing under Shi Yan's eyes. Meanwhile, a shrill cry was heard from the valley beside Shi Yin. Soon after the cry, Gu Jianga's scream could also be heard. Father. Shi Yin was surprised, and found that Emo Duanhuan's figure had completely disappeared. Looking over to the cave, Shi Yin found that Gu Lai had already died. Blood continued to pour out of his eyes, ears, and mouth. Emo Duanhuan's figure suddenly appeared at the entrance of the valley. Then, he stretched out his hand and pressed against Gu Jianga's head. Flashes of green light came out from Emo Duanhuan's palm and went into Gu Jianga's head. Gu Jianga's eyes gradually went dim as he screamed painfully. At last, he stopped screaming and just stood there stiffly. Grabbing Gu Jianga with one hand, Emo Duanhuan flew back to Shi Yan's side and threw him to a Shurigard as he ordered, take him. Everything happened so fast that Shi Yin did not see how Emo Duanhuan did it exactly. In an instant, Gu Lai was killed, and Gu Jianga was under Emo Duanhuan's control after a few cries. Now, Gu Jianga became delirious since his soul had been imprisoned. The 6th-level demon beast of the evil wonderland, the Wind Thunder Lion, suddenly descended from the sky and stood beside Shi Yin and Emo Duanhuan. Sister Xinyan's soul had been severely injured. He Qing man who was coming down the Wind Thunder Lion said anxiously. She had been unconscious since then. What should we do? Shi Yin went towards the Wind Thunder Lion immediately. The Wind Thunder Lion howled, opening its fierce-looking mouth and staring angrily at Shi Yin, not allowing him to come close. Easy. He Qing man slightly kicked the Wind Thunder Lion on one of its wings. The Wind Thunder Lion immediately became obedient. It just stared at Shi Yin without any movement. It seemed to be very afraid of He Qing man. Shi Yin came to the Wind Thunder Lion and saw Xia Xinyan, whom he had not seen for 3 years. She was as beautiful as 3 years ago, but her face was pale now, and there was traces of blood on her lips. Her eyes were closed, covered by her long eyelashes. Sister Xinyan knew that you were in the pool, and that Gu Lai was about to go into the pool to find you. Thus, she immediately used her reincarnation martial spirit, trying to stop Gu Lai. But at that time, Demon Master Mojito suddenly interfered and used soul attack to injure her soul. He Qing man was very worried, lamenting, soul injuries are much harder to heal than physical injuries. And Demon Master Mojito is in the spirit realm. His soul attacks are terribly powerful. I'm afraid Sister Xinyan will never recover from this injury. He Qingman and Xia Xinyan were very close. Else, she would not come here together with Xia Xinyan despite knowing that there was danger here. After Xia Xinyan was severely injured, He Qingman had taken out all kinds of healing pills she had on her to feed Xia Xinyan. However, Xia Xinyan stayed unconscious and her soul was extremely weak. He Qingman tried to communicate with Xia Xinyan via her mind, but found that Xia Xinyan's soul has dispersed. Without a concentrated soul, Xia could not receive the mind message she sent. After realizing this, He Qingman became more worried from not knowing what to do. After examining Xia Xinyan in detail, Shi Yan's face looked serious. Xia Xinyan's soul has indeed been dispersed, and it could be called a human-vegetable state in his world. She might never be able to wake up. Lord Imo, come have a look. Shi Yan suddenly looked up at Imo Duanhuan and said, I don't want anything bad happen to her. Imo Duanhuan nodded softly, walked slowly to Xia Xinyan, and stretched out one finger to touch the backside of Xia Xinyan's head. Some power of the soul was generating from Imo Duanhuan's finger and was being transmitted into Xia Xinyan's mind. Imo Duanhuan's face became grave. Shi Yan's heart tightened and his face changed color. Telling from Imo Duanhuan's expression, Shi Yan knew that Xia Xinyan's injury must be more severe than they had thought, and it was true. Before long, Imo Duanhuan pulled back his finger and said seriously, She's badly injured and it is very difficult to concentrate her mind. Taking a blow from Mojito, even the souls of warriors in the Nirvana realm would be destroyed in an instant, let alone the soul of a warrior in the Earth realm. The reason why her soul was not destroyed was because of her reincarnation martial spirit. If it were not the reincarnation martial spirit, she would have been dead by now. Lord Imo, what are you talking about? He Qingman asked anxiously. Little Xia's reincarnation martial spirit gathered her souls of her previous lives at the crucial moment and helped her withstand Mojito's soul attack. The memory and consciousness of her previous lives and her memory and consciousness of this life were disorganized by Mojito's attack. Therefore, right now, she has not only the memory of this life, but those of her previous lives, and many lives at that. The memories were too disorganized and too large in number, causing her soul to break down. In this case, she is very unlikely to recover unless we sort her memories out. Shi Yan's face changed a little, then, what can we do? Nothing. Imo Duanhuan waved his head helplessly after a few seconds. The injury in soul cannot be healed by pills. She can come around only if she could sort out those messy memories and consciousness by herself. And this process might take 1 year, 100 years, or forever. What? He Qingman screamed. You mean Sister Xinyan might never wake up? How can this be? Is there nothing we can do to help? Really? Shi Yan gritted his teeth. There is no way I know of. Imo Duanhuan lamented. Hopelessness filled He Qingman's eyes. Then, she stared at Shi Yan and blamed, You. It's because of you. If it were not for you, Sister Xinyan would not be like this. Shi Yan did not know how to respond. At this moment, the blood vein ring began to shine. Shi Yan, who was blaming himself, let his mind enter the blood vein ring and asked impatiently, What are you crying for? It's only an injury to her soul. The consciousness of the ice-cold flame scorned, How stupid you are! You have the soul gathering pool in your hand. Once it is refined, the pure soul power in it will be the panacea for healing souls. As long as that woman is alive, the soul power of the pearl is able to heal her and make her as lively as before. Shi Yan's eyes started shining as happiness resurfaced onto his face. Chapter 174, Misunderstanding. Chapter 174, Misunderstanding. You're heartless. He mocking sneered. Her bright eyes were chillingly cold. She hatefully stared at Shi Yan and said, Sister Xinyan is like this because of you, and you are actually feeling happy? You? Do you even have a conscience? She kept looking at Shi Yan scornfully after she caught a bit of joyous expression on Shi Yan's face. Obviously, she wouldn't know that after communicating with the ice-cold flame, Shi Yan had come with a way to save Xia Xinyan. He Qingman just thought that Shi Yan must be feeling lucky, and immediately started criticizing him. She felt bitter in her heart and got angered upon seeing Shi Yin being ungrateful. Those Shura blood guards nearby also got confused. Seeing the happy look on Shi Yan's face, they also felt something was amiss. With even Imo Duanhuan saying that Xia Xinyan would be hard to treat, it was evident that Xia Xinyan's soul was injured heavily. At this moment, seeing the joyous Shi Yin made everyone suspect his intentions. Only Imo Duanhuan thought otherwise, and looked at the blood vein ring on Shi Yan's hand with a thoughtful expression. Shi Yin was aware of He Qingman's scolding, but he simply ignored it. His consciousness was deep into the ring, still in conversation with the ice-cold flame. In order to convert the souls into pure soul power, how do you refine the soul-gathering pearl? It's very easy. The ice-cold flame was just waiting for this question from Shi Yin. Burn the soul-gathering pearl in a special fire, destroying all the soul impurities inside the soul-gathering pearl. What remains will be soul power that is pure enough to be absorbed. A special fire? Shi Yin thought for a moment. You are also one of the sky fires. Will you be able to do it? No, no, no. The ice-cold flame immediately responded. You have to use extremely hot temperatures in order to burn away the soul impurities inside the pearl. Although the ice-cold flame was one of the sky fires, it was very special. Usually, most sky fires were very hot, capable of burning everything in their path, but ice-cold flame was chilling to the bone. It had the exact opposite characteristics of sealing everything in ice. As the soul-gathering pearl needed extremely high temperature to refine, the fire from the ice-cold flame would be of no use. Does that mean that I will need another sky fire to refine the pearl? Shi Yan's heart sank. Sky fires are the most extraordinary fire in the world. If it is really needed, where in the world I would find it? You won't be needing a sky fire exactly, the ice-cold flame said after a moment. The fire at the center of a 100,000-foot-tall volcano will be enough to refine the pearl. As long as you are able to find a 10,000-year-old volcano, just place the pearl in its center. Let me take a look at it, and I will know whether the idea will work out or not. Enter the center of a 10,000-year-old volcano? Shi Yan's face slightly changed. I would probably be burnt to ashes halfway. The central region of a 10,000-year-old volcano was extremely hot. Let alone a disaster realm warrior, even an earth realm or a nirvana realm strong warrior, would probably not be able to hold up if he rashly entered into the center of a 10,000-year-old volcano. The ice-cold flame suggestion made Shi Yin full of despondence. Hey, I am talking to you. He Quigman stood in front of Shi Yin proudly, with her plump and seductive chest. Her eyes were still chilly as she glared at Shi Yin. What are you, mute? Or half speechless? Shi Yin, who was in a deep discussion with the ice-cold flame, suddenly woke from He Qingman's shout. Naturally, he didn't know what He Qingman had said. Shi Yin still had some good opinions towards He Manqing. Since when Xia Xinyan's body fell from the sky, it was this woman who ordered her demon beast to rescue Xia Xinyan. Or else, even if Xia Xinyan's soul were to recover in the future, her body would have been half-wasted. Because of that, Shi Yin felt some gratitude towards He Qingman, and he also knew her worries were all because of Xia Xinyan. So Shi Yin didn't mind He Qingman's unfriendly attitude. Sister Xinyan is in this state, and you are happy? He Qingman clenched her teeth. I've never seen a heartless man like you. In the Kiara Sea, Sister Xinyan is the most desired girl. God knows how many young men has a soft spot for her. There are way too many who are more handsome and stronger than you. But just for you, in these 3 years, Sister Xinyan had been fighting with the Gu and Dongfang families all along. Knowing that you came to Cloud's Island, she even risked her life to come and find you. And because of you, she is now like this. But you are secretly feeling happy. You're truly cruel and ungrateful, the most shameless of all. The more He Qingman thought about it, the more she disliked Shi Yin. She ruthlessly insulted him. Shi Yin didn't know if he should laugh or cry from her fierce scolding. He felt that this woman had some problems inside, and she judged the situation without knowing anything. Such an opinionated person. So Shi Yin once again became silent and chose to continue ignoring her. How do I enter into the center of a 10,000-year-old volcano? Shi Yin communicated. Did you forget about me? The ice-cold flame answered proudly, with my cold energy as a protection. What kind of volcano can't you enter? How can a mere earth fire oppose against me? With me to protect you, what do you have to be scared about? Shi Yin immediately realized the truth. Because of Xia Xinyan's injuries, his mind was kind of in a mess. He actually forgot about how frightening the ice-cold flame's cold energy was. Minluo Island, back in the day, was a land where volcanoes gathered. Even this kind of place still became an ice island under the ice-cold flame's cold energy. In this whole world, what kind of volcano can it go deep into? I understand now. Shi Yan's mind settled down, and once again there was a joyous expression on his face. Shameless. Shameless. He Qingman's clenching teeth made gritting sounds. I've really never seen people like you. How unfortunate that Sister Xinyan actually complimented you all along. This is really an eye-opener for me. How could such a smart person like Sister Xinyan fancy a guy like you? I really feel unfair for her. After he Manqing taunted for so long, she saw Shi Yin smile again. This really made her anger go through the roof. If Imo Duanhuan weren't next to her, she might have not been able to hold back and attacked Shi Yin to teach him a lesson. Is it fun for you to talk to yourself? Shi Yan's consciousness returned from the blood vein ring. He slightly glanced at He Qingman and said indifferently, if it were anyone else, after being wronged and scolded for so long, they would feel a little annoyed from inside. Shi Yin was no exception. He Qingman didn't get the situation at all, and subjectively thought him as a heartless and unfaithful heartbreaker. She clenched her teeth and scolded him for minutes, and seeing that he didn't speak, she just kept scolding. This made Shi Yin feel that this woman really had problems. You. He Manqing pointed at Shi Yin. She was breathing fast, and her breasts were high up, curving into a seductive figure. She was so upset at the moment that she actually couldn't speak. Shi Yin looked at her sideways. He knew that this woman had a hot body, and her looks must be extraordinary too. But at the moment his mind wasn't thinking in this regard, so he was too lazy to bother with her. After glancing once at He Qingman, he turned his head away to ask Imo Duanhuan by his side, are there any 10,000-year-old volcanoes around here? There are none nearby. Imo Duanhuan was stunned, but he pondered for a second. But there are some in the Kiara Sea. The biggest 10,000-year-old volcano is in the Firecloud Island controlled by the evil Wonderland. Missy knows the best about this area, as the current master of Firecloud Island is He Luo, her father. Shi Yin dazed for a second. His expression immediately became weird. He turned his head and looked at He Qingman once again. He Qingman was still mad. She clenched her teeth and fiercely stared at Shi Yin. No matter what you want to do, I won't help you. You heartless, unfaithful heartbreaker. Just looking at you gets on my nerves. Then, He Qingman's hot, beautiful body casually moved, and in an instant, she was already sitting on the Wind Thunder Lion. With the moving of her long, beautiful legs, He Qingman shouted, let's go. Wait. Shi Yin frowned. He suddenly blocked the Wind Thunder Lion and raised his head to look at He Qingman, who sat high above on the Wind Thunder Lion, and said, you can go, but Xinyan has to stay with me. What gives you that right? He Qingman's eyes turned cold. Sister Xinyan came with me, and now that her soul is heavily injured, I have to use the greatest speed to escort her back to the Xia family. When the Xia family knows that Sister Xinyan has been injured so badly, they would definitely use all their power to find a way to save her. Unlike you, they will never do nothing and even gloat around. The Wind Thunder Lion was ready to move. He Qingman sat on top and condescendingly looked down at Shi Yin, taunting with her words. The level 6 Wind Thunder Lion realized its mistress's anger. Its bell-sized dark red eyes fiercely started at Shi Yin and raised its head to release an angry roar. A level 6 demon beast was comparable to a Nirvana realm warrior. After this Wind Thunder Lion's angry roar, 2 wind blades formed into shape and shot at Shi Yin. Stupid beast! He Qingman shouted, and the look in her eyes slightly changed. Imo Duanhuan snorted coldly and just like a phantom, appeared in front of the Wind Thunder Lion. His big hands grabbed out and actually held the wind blades. He furrowed his brows and looked at He Qingman. Do you need me to discipline your demon beast? It's a misunderstanding. He Ching Man was startled as she hurriedly stomped her foot. She stepped on the Wind Thunder Lion's head, secretly scolding at how stupid this demon beast was. With Imo Duanhuan so near it, the Wind Thunder Lion had already settled down. It hurriedly laid down again and didn't even dare to raise its head. It didn't dare to look at Imo Duanhuan, scared that he might act ruthlessly. A level 6 demon beast already had some wisdom. Leave Xin Yan. Shi Yan's face was grim. He stood in front of the Wind Thunder Lion and coldly looked at He Ching Man. Even if you're a Yang family member, you still have no right to command me. He Ching Man gritted her teeth. Sister Xin Yan came with me, so she has to leave with me. I will never give Sister Xin Yan to a heartless man like you. I can save her, Shi Yan said with a deep voice. You can save her? He Ching Man dazed for a second, and then said in disdain, even Master Imo can't do anything. What way do you have to save her? Your capabilities are not good, but your tone sure is arrogant. Young Master Yin, do you want to go to the Firecloud Island? Imo Duanhuan saw that at this rate there would be no end to this argument, and finally couldn't help but say, if you're going to the Firecloud Island, then you don't need to move Xia. Missy should be going back to the Firecloud Island too. We can just go the same way. After Imo Duanhuan said that, Shi Yin pondered for a moment and also agreed. I am going to the Firecloud Island. Master Imo, what about you? Before returning to Immortal Island, I will keep following you. Imo Duanhuan responded. All right then. Shi Yin nodded and walked towards the only level 6 cyan blood bet there. Then you can escort me to Firecloud Island. All right. Dash. Edited by Vic, Chanks, and Bobby. Chapter 175. Didn't come for nothing. Chapter 175. Didn't come for nothing. Inside the valley, the water of the soul-gathering pool had already turned transparent. All of the souls inside the pool water entered into the soul-gathering pearl. He Ching Man seemed to extremely dislike Shi Yin. After getting Imo Duanhuan's approval, she rode the Wind Thunder Lion and immediately flew into the air with Xia Xinyan. They headed out of Cloud's Island ahead of the rest. Shi Yin was in the valley. He sat on the cyan bloodbat and waiting. When he realized that there were no more souls inside the soul-gathering pool, he spat a few more times at the soul-gathering pearl. Once the spit fell on the pearl, it immediately formed into a white thin film that completely covered the soul-gathering pearl. Once the soul-gathering pearl was completely wrapped by the thin film, it no longer displayed the extraordinary use of absorbing souls. Imo Duanhuan was standing beside him while watching Shi Yan's actions. He saw that the soul-gathering pearl in Shi Yan's hand absorbed all of the souls from the soul-gathering pool. When he saw Shi Yan spit on the soul-gathering pearl, his expression became a little strange. But from the beginning to the end, Imo Duanhuan didn't ask about anything. All right, we can get going now. Everything was ready. Shi Yan carefully kept the soul-gathering pearl, and then finally smiled at Imo Duanhuan. Imo Duanhuan nodded. A wave of mind power was casted out, and the cyan bloodbat below him immediately expanded its wings and flew up towards the direction of the Wind Thunder Lion. A level 6 cyan bloodbat had an extremely fast flying speed. However, Imo Duanhuan didn't rush, but instead, he made the cyan bloodbat slow down so that the other lower-level cyan bloodbats could catch up. Ahead of them, the Wind Thunder Lion that He Ching Man mounted on was also not flying very fast. It seemed to be waiting for Imo Duanhuan. Although He Ching Man didn't like Shi Yin, she knew that this was still the Hingluo. It was not under the control of the evil Wonderland, and they might even meet strong warriors from the Three Gods sect, the Gu family, or the Dongfang family. Before entering the Kiara Sea, she didn't dare to distance away from Imo Duanhuan too far. Cloud's Island wasn't small. After Shi Yin went ashore, it still took him a few days to get to the valley. However, once he sat on the cyan bloodbat, it was many times faster flying from the top of the valley towards outside Yunxia Island. In just about half an hour, the cyan bloodbats already flew out of Cloud's Island. After leaving Cloud's Island, Shi Yin was just about to speak, when he looked down and suddenly saw a familiar boat. Looking down condescendingly, he could faintly see that next to the messy pile of cargo in the back, there was a slightly vague, beautiful figure. The figure had her long hair flying in the wind, making her appear beautiful. Shi Yin sighed in his mind. His expression appeared slightly gloomy. He shook his head lightly. In the sea, the boat slowly sailed. On the deck, Jet, Nano, and the rest all raised their heads. They pointed at the cyan bloodbats that flew above while shouting. Look, cyan bloodbats. The Yang family's cyan bloodbats. Shura blood guards. The one on the cyan blood guard in the foremost position must be the Shura King Imo Duanhuan. Hey, why is there two figures? The cyan bloodbat that Imo Duanhuan is sitting on should be level 6. That cyan bloodbat is in the lead, meaning that it should belong to the Shura King Imo Duanhuan. But who's the other guy? Who knows? It's so far away that I can't see clearly. That's definitely the most distinguished figure in the Yang family, or else they wouldn't have the right to ride a level 6 cyan bloodbat. The cyan bloodbats have left Cloud's Island. I wonder how the negotiations between the Yang and Gu families went. How else could it be? You think the Gu family would dare go against the Yang family? It's hard to say. When we left from Cloud's Island, didn't we see the island get covered in darkness? Maybe some changes really happened on Cloud's Island? Who cares? Anyway, it has nothing to do with us. We are just in charge of delivering the things here. Jet, Nano, and the rest all raised their heads to look. They chattered amongst themselves. In the corner of the boat, Carmen and Huajie scowled. They also raised their heads to look up into the sky while watching the two blurry figures on top of the cyan bloodbat. Linda stood at the area where Shi Yin often sat, dazed. She didn't look into the sky, and no one knew what she was thinking. Hey, that guy. Jet's eyes were extremely sharp. After staring at the cyan blood bat up ahead for a long while, he suddenly shook and seemed to have discovered something. Jet, what are you screaming about? Nano casually asked. Nothing. Jet shook his head. He suspected that his eyes were mistaken. When he wanted to look more closely, he realized that the cyan bloodbats were already far away. He could no longer see the figure on top. After hesitating for a while on the deck, Jet quietly came to where Linda was at. Seeing that Linda was still standing there dazing, Jet quietly sighed inside. He came to try to persuade her. Sister Linda, he won't come back. Before we left, didn't we wait for 2 days? He didn't come, meaning that he will never come back. Sister Linda, you should forget about him. Linda's dazed eyes slowly became sober again. She glimpsed at Jet and said lightly, What are you doing here? Jet hesitated. Spill it. Linda frowned and said impatiently. The Yang family's cyan bloodbats just flew over our heads. Sister Linda, did you notice? Shaking her head, Linda said, I didn't notice. Why? On the cyan bloodbat in the lead, there were 2 people. Jet continued. So there were 2 people. What's that got to do with us? Linda's pretty brows furrowed as she said impatiently, Jet, if there's something you have to say, can't you just say it directly? You keep muttering. What are you even doing? The cyan bloodbat in the lead are always of the highest level. The people who mount them also should be the most distinguished figures. It is said that this time, the leader from the Yang family is the top of the 3 Shura Kings, Imo Duanhuan. The one person sitting on that level 6 cyan bloodbat should be Imo Duanhuan, but the other one. When Jet spoke to this part, he paused again. Linda was mad as she shouted coldly, Would you stop that already? What do you want to say? Sister Linda, you know that my eyes are quite sharp, right? Jet put up a wry smile. Your stealthy eyes are quite sharp. Linda nodded. Her expression was still cold. Why? I don't know if I was mistaken. Jet's face was filled with a bitter smile. I think that the other person that was sitting with the Shura King Imo Duanhuan should be Shi Yin. Linda's delicate body shook as her eyes filled with disbelief. Someone who can sit with Imo Duanhuan is no normal figure. I might really have been mistaken. Shi Yin is only in the disaster realm. No matter how you see it, he's not qualified to sit with Imo Duanhuan. Sister Linda, just see it as I'm bullshitting. I didn't see it that clearly either. Seeing that Linda's delicate body shook and that her expression drastically changed, Jet was startled. He immediately explained. Linda was already dazed. Her eyes were unfocused while she blankly looked at the cyan bloodbats on the sky that already formed into black dots. Her expression was extremely complicated. Could it really be him? Is Uncle Shao still alive? On the cyan bloodbat, Shi Yin sat steadily when he suddenly spoke out of nowhere. Mo Duanhuan was truly something else. On the way, he was silent. He didn't ask anything about him, how he got out of the seizing of the ice-cold flame, nor what method he used that could suppress the soul of the demon master Mojito. Shi Yin prepared many lies that were originally prepared against Mo Duanhuan's interrogation, but he realized that he prepared for nothing. This guy was clearly curious, but he had held back and did not ask about anything. This made the lies that had Shi Yin prepared completely useless. Mo Duanhuan and Xiao Hani were both Shurikings from the Yang family, but his personality was the exact opposite from Xiao Hani. Xiao Hani was arrogant and audacious. He was also a cultivation freak. But once he had free time, he would still joke with Shi Yin in an ill-mannered way and even tease about Shi Yin and Xia Xinyan's relationship. But Mo Duanhuan was different. This guy was almost like a piece of wood. Ever since Shi Yin mounted on the cyan bloodbat, he hadn't said a thing. He didn't speak on his own will, but Shi Yin still wanted to know some things about the Yang family and about Xiao Hani. Since Yang Qingdi could predict that he was alive, then he must have been able to predict about Xiao Hani. Shi Yin greatly appreciated Xiao Hani, and he really didn't want anything to happen to him. Thus, he wanted to ask, alive? Mo Duanhuan answered crisp and simple. Shi Yin smiled wryly. In Immortal Island, or the demon area? In the fourth demon area, he is temporarily constrained. The head of the family already went to the fourth demon area just to rescue him. Mo Duanhuan turned his head to look at Shi Yin once, and then finally said a few more sentences. This time when the Demon King Bo Sun's skeletal avatar reappeared. Why did it return so quickly? Why didn't it attack us? The skeletal avatar attacks through the dimensions. Its powers cannot be completely exerted. Plus, if it were to attack, it would be greatly damaged afterwards. Mo Duanhuan explained, paused, and then continued. And he knows that I carry the image of universal nature with me. So that's why. Shi Yin nodded. The demon master Mojito used a special method in order to have his soul appear to this place. He was summoned here using the power of thousands of souls. He was summoned here by the father and son Gu Lai and Gu Jianga, so he wasn't affected by the rules of the dimensions. Shi Yin didn't mention the soul-gathering pearl. He blamed everything on the thousands of civilian souls summoned by Gu Lai and Gu Jianga. He hinted that Mojito's arrival won't damage his soul and that afterwards, when he returned to the fourth demon area, he still wouldn't have much injuries. The things concerning you, the ice-cold flame, and what happened inside the valley, you can explain them in detail when you return to Immortal Island and meet the head of the family. Mo Duanhuan nodded and then squinted. I don't want to ask about much. However, if you choose to tell me on your own accord, I will listen. If you want to listen, I can tell you some things. If you're not interested in listening, then I have no interest in telling either. Shi Yin chuckled. He felt that the old guy Mo Duanhuan was quite interesting. He clearly wanted to know, but he didn't forwardly ask. He wondered if that's him following rules, or just having a weird temper. Mo Duanhuan's lips twitched. His expression was strange. After a long moment, he finally said indifferently, you can say it. The ice-cold flame is inside my body. It didn't seize me, but I can't defeat it either. Right now, we are peacefully coexisting. Shi Yin smirked, and then said lightly. Mo Duanhuan's eyes brightened. He stared at Shi Yin deeply for a long while, and then finally nodded slowly. It really is the case? I heard that to merge with the ice-cold flame, you need 9 of the most Yang-powered and scorching precious treasures. Does the Yang family have precious treasures like that? Shi Yin smiled. Yes, but only 3 of them. Mo Duanhuan's eyes became brighter and brighter, although they're not enough for now. But once you meet the head of the family, he should be willing to try everything to gather the rest for you. Once you are really capable enough to tame the ice-cold flame, all the materials you lack, the Yang family will think of ways to get them for you. Hee hee. I painstakingly came to the endless sea. Sure didn't come for nothing. Dash. Chapter 176, Exactly How Strong. Chapter 176, Exactly How Strong. In Shuriyan's perspective, Imo Duanhuan was a complete weirdo. He was always silent and barely spoke. If no one spoke with him first, he rarely opened his mouth. On the way, unless Shuriyan asked, Imo Duanhuan never spoke an extra word. He seemed to have no curiosity for anything. Shuriyan was determined to gain more understanding about the Kiara Sea. He didn't care whether Imo Duanhuan disliked it or not. As long as he had a question he wanted to know about, he would ask about it immediately. Imo Duanhuan never spoke on his own, but when Shuriyan asked, he would answer one by one. From Imo Duanhuan, Shuriyan had gained quite a lot of information. In the Kiara Sea, there were three big forces. Other than the Yang family, there was the Xia family and the Evil Wonderland. In those two, the Evil Wonderland's power seemed to be slightly higher than the Xia family. The warrior forces in the Endless Sea were all unusual. Each had their mysterious and wondrous aspects. The Evil Wonderland was naturally no exception. According to Imo Duanhuan, in the Endless Sea, the Evil Wonderland was a very magical place. Legend has it that several millennia ago, a married couple accidentally entered into the Evil Wonderland and discovered many strange martial skills and unique treasures inside. They knew that the Evil Wonderland was a mysterious wonderland left from the ancient times, so they occupied the Evil Wonderland. Inside the Evil Wonderland, there were many kinds of wonders. The spirit energies there were extremely filling. It was one of the treasured lands in the Kiara Sea with the most vigorous spirit energy. The most magical thing about the Evil Wonderland was a soul nurturing room. The soul nurturing room was also the foundation of the Evil Wonderland. When talking about the specific circumstances about the soul nurturing room, Imo Duanhuan couldn't explain it very clearly. However, he told Shuriyan that the biggest use of the soul nurturing room was to breed martial spirits. Normally, if one person in a couple had a martial spirit, then their child will have a chance of inheriting a martial spirit. If both sides contain martial spirits, then their child would have an even bigger chance of having a martial spirit. They could even have the possibility of holding martial spirits from both of their parents. For instance, Shuriyan's body contained both the immortal martial spirit from the Yang family and the Shi family martial spirit. This type of person was someone blessed and loved by God, and was very rare. However, when it comes to the children of most couples who have martial spirits, they might not be able to inherit martial spirits. The possibility of having double martial spirits was also extremely small. This natural law was also applicable in the Endless Sea. The reason why the soul nurturing room was intriguing was because it could increase the chance of a newborn child having a martial spirit. If a couple in which one of them had a martial spirit had intercourse inside the soul nurturing room, then the child they give birth to will have several times more chance of having a martial spirit compared with normal conditions. This was extremely magical since it almost countered the rules of the world. Every pair of parents who had martial spirits wished that their child would one day inherit their martial spirit. They wanted their own child to become one of the top and become a strong figure that would be seen by all. Because of that, there were many couples in the Endless Sea that would travel hundreds of li from other seas, in hopes that they could have intercourse inside the soul nurturing room of the Evil Wonderland to raise the chances of a martial spirit for their future child. Of course, it was not that easy to get approval from the Evil Wonderland. The couples that came to the Endless Sea that wanted to enter into the soul nurturing room had to join the Evil Wonderland first and become their people. This was the most basic condition. Only insiders could have the right to enter into the soul nurturing room. In the past millennium, this rule had never changed. Other than that, there were also many types of other conditions. Normally, the Evil Wonderland would not accept the warriors from other forces in the Endless Sea. Even if they wanted to join the Evil Wonderland, the Evil Wonderland wouldn't take them in. To join the Evil Wonderland, one needed to have a clear background. They needed to be carefully inspected by the Evil Wonderland, and they needed to have strong warriors from the Evil Wonderland go deep into their memories and check everything through. Once it was ensured that there were no problems, then they would consider taking them in. Even people with clear backgrounds still needed go through the Evil Wonderland's test once again. They need to know the level and strength of the martial spirits of the parents. Only those with valuable martial spirits that would be beneficial to the future of the evil wonderland would be allowed passage. It could be said that the reason why the evil wonderland was one of the 15 great forces of the endless sea was because of the existence of the soul nurturing room. Without the soul nurturing room, the evil wonderland wouldn't have been able to gather so many strong and capable warriors, and they also wouldn't have had that many useful strong warriors. Thus, when it came to the usage of the soul nurturing room, the evil wonderland couldn't be more careful. Ching Man was conceived in the soul nurturing room. She had the two different martial spirits of wind and water. The He family was already a family in the Kiara Sea with some reputation. One of He Chingman's parents had the wind martial spirit, and the other one had the water martial spirit. In order to make their child on top of others, He Chingman's parents approached the evil wonderland. After the evil wonderland carefully examined He Chingman's parents He Luo and Su Man, they became people of the evil wonderland and obtained the right to enter the soul nurturing room. After He Chingman was born, she luckily inherited both of the two different martial spirits from her parents. She was immediately taken to the treasure land by the evil wonderland and was trained as a genius with tremendous potential. She became the most outstanding young talent in the new generation of the evil wonderland. The evil wonderland was not a family. They had no martial spirit inheritance. They relied on the existence of the soul nurturing room to become one of the three great forces in the Kiara Sea. But the Xia family was different. Xia Xinyan's reincarnation martial spirit was inherited from the Xia family. All of the descendants that held the Xia family bloodline had the possibility of possessing the reincarnation martial spirit. However, the reincarnation martial spirit of the Xia family was also differentiated between strong and weak. Although many people from the Xia family had the reincarnation martial spirit, they were generally all just useless martial spirits. If their past life was not a strong warrior of the martial arts, then even if they had the reincarnation martial spirit, they still couldn't obtain much useful information from their past life. Some Xia family members were only gardeners, scholars, or students in their past life. Then the reincarnation martial spirit that they had would be nearly no help to their cultivation. These kinds of people had no importance in the Xia family. There were also some people who actually were warriors in their past life, but their realm was not high in the past life, being only in the disaster or earth realms. After obtaining the reincarnation martial spirit, the most they would have was understanding of the disaster and earth warrior realms, causing them be on their own after those realms. These kinds of people had some status in the Xia family, but also did not have a lot of importance. In the Xia family descendants that had the reincarnation martial spirit, only the ones who were warriors in their past life and had an extremely high realm could be considered talented material. The reincarnation martial spirit could then use the martial understanding and knowledge from their past life to instantly have a breakthrough and quickly enter into a new realm whenever they encounter a bottleneck during cultivation. The higher the realm of the warrior in their past life, the faster their cultivation speed would be. Martial cultivation with no bottlenecks had an extreme advantage against normal people. The reason why the reincarnation martial spirit had a strong and weak difference was also because of a crucial standard. In the vast majority of Xia family descendants, they could only obtain the martial insight and knowledge of their past life after they obtained the reincarnation martial spirit, but they couldn't get the reincarnation power of their past life. However, there was a few minority that not only could obtain the martial insight of their past life, they could even borrow the reincarnation power from their past life in times of crisis. If their realm in their past life was extremely high, the reincarnation power that they would be able to borrow would also be very terrifying. Xia Xinyan was such a blessed child. Using reincarnation power, she could enter into the sky realm in a short time. That meant that in Xia Xinyan's past life, her strongest warrior realm should have been the true God realm. Only those who had cultivated to the true God realm in their past life would be able to shortly enter into the sky realm using reincarnation power after they obtained their reincarnation martial spirit in this life. This was extremely frightening. The past life being a true God realm warrior meant that before Xia Xinyan cultivated to the true God realm, she could use martial insight from her past life to prevent bottlenecks during cultivation. This meant that Xia Xinyan was sure to become a true God realm warrior. Someday, By relying on this reincarnation martial spirit and through accumulating and cultivating for some time, under the situation where there was no bottleneck, Xia Xinyan would eventually enter into the true God realm as long as she stayed alive. Just by that, the Xia family had no reason not to spend all their efforts on Xia Xinyan. Think about it. If the Xia family were to have a true God realm warrior in the future, what kind of height would the Xia family reach in the future of the Endless Sea? And also because of that, Xia Xinyan's status was outstanding in the Xia family. This time Xia Xinyan's soul was heavily injured, and if the Xia family were to know it had something to do with Shi Yin, they would probably become furious. They might even go confront the Yang family because of this. When Imo Duanhuan talked about the wonders of Xia Xinyan's martial spirit, he also hinted that the Xia family would probably become enraged, telling Shi Yin to be careful. When they get to the Kiara Sea and they meet people from the Xia family, he better have a sense of propriety and not speak rashly. Else, he would affect the many years of friendly relationship between the two families. On the whole way there, Shi Yin learned many things about the evil Wonderland and the Xia family through Imo Duanhuan. The evil Wonderland had the soul nurturing room, and the Wonderland itself was an ancient treasure land that contained many wonderful martial skills. Through the soul nurturing room, the evil Wonderland gathered many strong warriors all around and obtained many warriors with different martial spirits. Their force was like a net that spread across the Kiara Sea, having an extraordinary influence in many of the other seas. The Xia family's reincarnation martial spirit was mysterious and unpredictable. They could obtain the martial insight of their past life and quickly break bottlenecks during cultivation. Some were even figures that defied the course of nature like Xia Xinyan, who were in the true God realm in their past life, and could borrow the reincarnation power of their past life to enter the sky realm for a short amount of time. Whether it be the evil Wonderland or the Xia family, Imo Duanhuan's introduction caused Shi Yin to be stunned. Compared to the evil Wonderland and the Xia family, the four families of the Merchant Union was indeed many times weaker. The resources that they controlled was also much worse. In contrast, the evil Wonderland and the Xia family were already this strong and terrifying. Their forces were extremely magnificent. The He family's head, He Luo, was only in the Nirvana realm. Although he claimed power on Firecloud Island, in Imo Duanhuan's eyes, he was just an insignificant character. In the families that Imo Duanhuan killed in the Endless Sea, many were much stronger than the He family, but they were all easily slaughtered by him. He came this time just for Shi Yin. Through Shi Yan's talent and secrets, he realized that Shi Yin would become an important figure in the Yang family in the future, causing him to look at Shi Yin. He Qingman saw that Imo Duanhuan looked towards Shi Yin, causing her eyes to suddenly turn cold. She snorted in her mind, thinking that her plans were about to come to nothing. Sure, we came to someone else's territory. We have to meet the master, or else it would be too disrespectful. Unexpectedly for He Qingman, Shi Yin smiled and actually nodded in approval. We don't have to rush anyway. Let's rest, and then ask about the situations of the volcanoes on Firecloud Island. It would do no harm to my upcoming plans. All right. Imo Duanhuan finally nodded, and then said to He Qingman, lead the way. He Qingman dazed for a second, and then finally turned around, riding the wind Thunder Lion towards the center of Firecloud Island. On the top of the Cyan Bloodbat, Shi Yin looked down and realized that Firecloud Island was really quite similar to Minluo Island. There were many volcanoes on the island as well as plants that only grew in tropical regions. The Cyan Bloodbats flew across the heat waves. Half an hour later, it appeared in the middle of Firecloud Island and then slowly descended. This was a manor with hundreds of pavilions. Inside the manor, there were flowing streams and little bridges. Shrubs and plants were scattered around, and the pavilions here were all made of wood. They weren't too big or tall, and they gave an elegant and poetic feel. The Cyan Bloodbats hadn't landed yet, but a line of warriors already walked out with stunned expressions. They each stood in a giant training field and looked up into the sky. When the Cyan Bloodbats landed, He Luo, who was in the lead, was even more surprised. He stood there at a loss of words. Father, this is Master Imo. He came this time to Firecloud Island for some business, and specially came to our He family to pay a visit to us. Ching Man was unruffled as she slowly came down from the Wind Thunder Lion and walked straight towards Luo. She shouted, "Master Mo and I just returned from Cloud's Island. We are very tired from this trip. Father, tell someone to prepare a feast quickly." Luo's body was thin. He had wisps of long beard at his chin. He was outstandingly handsome and with a graceful demeanor, had the special charm of a mature man. Next to him, other than some strong warriors from the He family, there were some leaders of the warrior forces on Firecloud Island. Originally, they gathered here today to discuss business. Suddenly, they saw that there were cyan bloodbats flying through the sky above, causing these people to panic. They didn't know why the Shura blood guards would appear on Firecloud Island, and hurriedly came out together to watch. When Luo heard that it was Imo Duanhuan who came, his face immediately was filled with wild joy. With a radiant face, he hurriedly came up, and then bowed in salutation. He said, "Greetings to Master Imo. The He family is truly graced that Master Imo could come." The names of the 3 Shura kings of the Yang family were renowned in the Endless Sea. This was the first time for Luo, who lived in the Kiara Sea, to meet Imo Duanhuan. He was pleasantly surprised and nervous at the same time, so he greeted with great gestures. Imo Duanhuan frowned. He didn't say anything and only slightly nodded. Luo didn't think for a bit that Imo Duanhuan was roistering. With Imo Duanhuan's status, just nodding to him was giving him enough regards. Indeed, on the faces of the other family leaders of Firecloud Island that stood next to him, Luo saw some signs of envy. "Master Imo, please come in, please come in." Luo nodded and bowed, and raised his voice to shout, "Prepare a feast, bring the best wines and dishes. It is the honor of Firecloud Island that Master Imo can come. This must not be neglected." "Master Imo, I'll go change my clothes and groom myself." "Excuse me." Ching Man slightly bowed towards Imo Duanhuan, and then left with the Wind Thunder Lion. In the blink of an eye, she was gone without a trace. "Master Imo, this way please." Luo personally went in front, and then tried to lead the way for Imo Duanhuan. His attitude was extremely friendly. Imo Duanhuan slightly frowned, and then turned his head to look towards Shi Yin. Shi Yin smiled casually, and then lightly nodded. Imo Duanhuan finally approved. Chapter 178. Wanna bet? Chapter 178. Wanna bet? Firecloud Island, He family. In a giant magnificent hall, there was a display of an array of fruits and delicacies. Aromatic fine wine was carried bottle by bottle. The atmosphere in the hall was enthusiastic. Luo's face was full of smiles as he kept toasting towards Imo Duanhuan. The other warrior force leaders on Firecloud Island also looked excited. Every time they toasted to Imo Duanhuan, they stood up on their own, in the most respectful way. Imo Duanhuan sat at the highest seat in the hall. His face was indifferent and didn't move at all. Even when people toasted to him, he only slightly nodded and drained his cup. Shi Yin sat next to Imo Duanhuan. There was a faint smile on his face as he quietly observed everyone in the hall. These prominent people in Firecloud Island, when facing Imo Duanhuan, were all very courteous and smiled in flattery. If Imo Duanhuan slightly nodded at them, they would seem extremely flattered. To Shi Yin, that looked very funny. Imo Duanhuan was from the Yang family, and he was the leader of the 3 Shura kings. In the Kiara Sea, he was the most distinguished figure. The fact that he could come to the He family to sit and drink with these people was giving a lot of regard to the He family. Even the people who came to discuss important business with the He family were also following along to get the honor. These people may be considered with a very high status on Firecloud Island, but compared with Imo Duanhuan, there was an insurmountable distance. They weren't even qualified to enter Immortal Island. In the past, they only heard of the famous name of Imo Duanhuan and had never met him. Today they finally caught the opportunity. Naturally, they wouldn't let it go. They used all sorts of flattery to try to get a closer relationship with Imo Duanhuan, hoping that they would leave a good impression in Imo Duanhuan's mind. Even though the Firecloud Island was under the influence of the evil Wonderland, but it was what the Yang family say that counts in the Kiara Sea. They have to travel through the Kiara Sea all the time. If someday they were careless and annoyed the Yang family, Then if Imo Duanhuan could say some good words for them, it could even save their entire force. Therefore, when they were treating Imo Duanhuan, it could be said that they were the most dedicated ever, just in hope that they could leave some good impression. Of course, because of a small detail from Imo Duanhuan before, although they weren't clear of Shi Yan's true identity, they were still very careful. When trying to please Imo Duanhuan, they didn't forget Shi Yan and frequently toasted to him. Shi Yan didn't reject any of them. Whenever someone toasted to him, he would drain his cup without a trace of arrogance. Because the temperature on Firecloud Island was very high, the tropical fruits produced here also had their specialties. They were sweet and delicious. Naturally, Shi Yan didn't hold back. He tasted each of these fruits and seemed quite comfortable. Midway during the feast, He Luo let out a command, and many beautiful girls dressed in exposing clothing, wearing light veils and holding instruments, came slowly. These women's bright eyes were seductive. They exposed their fair-skinned arms and flexible waists, dancing in the empty space of the hall. They occasionally winked at Imo Duanhuan and Shi Yan, with a flattering look that seemed like they were offering themselves. Imo Duanhuan didn't show any reaction to this. His expression was stiff, like he doesn't seem to care about this. Shi Yan's expression was also indifferent. He didn't overly expose his true nature. He drank his wine, while smilingly looking at the beautiful, slim, and graceful girls at the same time. The 7 girls were all young and beautiful. Their bodies were curvy, and when they danced, their breasts bounced, looking very seductive. The most rare thing was that these girls seemed to know their mission. They also knew that the ones sitting in front of them were all distinguished figures. They would dance their bodies in front of Imo Duanhuan and Shi Yan, vaguely displaying the most wonderful parts of their bodies, looking as if these men were allowed to do whatever they want. He Luo's face was full of smiles while he secretly observed. Whenever Imo Duanhuan and Shi Yan displayed any interest, he would later make arrangements to make these girls go find Shi Yan and Imo Duanhuan at night, to offer up the even better wonders of these women's bodies for Shi Yan and Imo Duanhuan to slowly taste. Imo Duanhuan never liked women. At this point, most warriors of the Kiara Sea knew clearly. He Luo secretly observed for a while, and also realized the Imo Duanhuan really seemed to have no interest in beautiful women. He had a general idea of things in his mind, so he threw away the thought of presenting these Imo Duanhuan. Instead, he put more attention on Shi Yan. Although Shi Yan didn't reveal his true nature, but when seeing these beautiful things, he didn't fake or hide anything. His eyes showed a look of admiration, and he openly looked at the bodies of all these beautiful women. He Luo's heart felt happy. He slowly got a good idea, and once the feast ends, he was planning to let these 7 girls go to Shi Yan's room together and let him select any of them. Soon, these 7 girls quietly left, but before they went away, these 7 girls secretly threw winks at Shi Yan with their amorous eyes. These 7 girls are the 7 gold flowers of our Firecloud Island. They are still virgins and have very high standards. Normally, when honored guests come, they would dance to one song and leave quickly. But today, I see that these 7 girls are quite fond of little brother. They kept looking towards him. Little brother sure has outstanding charms. After those 7 girls left, He Luo laughed and said casually. There was a smile on Shi Yan's lips. He slightly shook his head. Of course he knew what He Luo meant. He also knew these 7 girls were definitely the most precious treasures of He Luo. The reason why He Luo would keep these girls as virgins was to use them at crucial moments. Normally he would be unwilling to take them out, because he didn't find any truly distinguished figures to please. When He Luo said it this way, it was obvious that he was going to pay a very high price. If Shi Yan nodded, He Luo would probably make arrangements immediately. Later these girls might directly appear in his room. Shi Yan was clear of the situation. If it were in the past, with his personality, he would probably not pretend to be a good guy and would happily enjoy pleasure. But now Xia Xinyan was still unconscious, and it was due to her trying to save him. This gave Shi Yan a giant pressure in his heart. He didn't have the heart to mess around with girls, and thus shook his head to refuse He Luo's good intentions. He Luo was slightly surprised. He thought that with Shi Yan's age, he shouldn't have much resistance in front of beauty. These 7 girls were carefully selected by him. Each had the most attractive appearances, plus they had sexy bodies, and were all virgins. Luo had a lot of confidence in these girls. Even when he was facing these 7 girls, it was often hard for him to control himself. He secretly observed Shi Yin for a while. From Shi Yan's expression and the look in his eyes, he thought Shi Yin definitely wouldn't refuse this appealing proposal. So when Shi Yin shook his head, Luo was very surprised. Father, to achieve his goal, this guy would sacrifice any incredible beauty, mindless 7 little golden flowers. Then at this moment, He Qingman's sweet voice suddenly came from behind the hall. Just when her voice came, He Qingman slowly walked here, and her beauty shocked all. He Qingman wore a purple thin dress. The hem of the dress was embroidered with beautiful flowers. Her long hair laid on her shoulders like silk, and her long, thin, amorous eyes were filled with sparkling charm. After taking off her veil, her cheeks were pink and cute. Her beautiful lips were luring. Her skin was fair as snow, with a strange glow like that of jade. Her curvy, beautiful figure was enchantingly attractive. Inside the hall, the eyes of many warriors brightened. Their expressions were all a little intoxicated. For a while, the hall that was originally loud with chatter actually strangely became quiet. Even Imo Duanhuan raised his head and glanced at He Qingman and was surprised by her impressive beauty. Shi Yin glimpsed at He Qingman. His eyes also abruptly brightened. Although he didn't like this woman, but he was still mesmerized by her beauty. He Qingman actually had the same level of extreme beauty as Xia Xinyan. Xia Xinyan was noble and graceful, while He Qingman was enchanting and charming. Although their styles were different, they were both born incredibly beautiful. Whether it be their faces or their bodies, all were perfect. Old He, your little girl really grew to be more and more pretty. I wonder which family's boy would get the pleasure in the future. A red-faced man called Wu Mu couldn't help but compliment. Qingman is really a bright pearl of our Kiara. AI, too bad my boy's potential is not that great and didn't get chosen by the evil Wonderland. He probably won't have a chance in his whole life. Wu Mu, with your family's boy, he dares craving for something he's not worthy of? Hee, this girl Qingman would definitely become an important figure in the evil Wonderland. In the Kiara, even if boys from the Xia or Yang families tried to woo her, the evil Wonderland probably won't allow it. Let's not think of it. Right, Qingman is the most precious treasure in the evil Wonderland. Only young strong warriors from the evil Wonderland like Xiekue would have the possibility of being approved by the evil Wonderland and have the right to pursue Qingman. Old He, you really have amazing luck. You got a good daughter. The many people in the hall all smilingly praised and admired that He Luo had great luck. He had a daughter that was not only incredibly beautiful, but also had the double martial spirits of wind and water. She was treated as a genius with potential and helped the He family into becoming the master of Firecloud Island. Their future power would definitely increase as He Qingman gets stronger. He Luo laughed. He was also quite joyful as he said, "You guys work harder. Maybe you would be able to give birth to a good talent in the future, haha." He Luo purposely dodged He Qingman's accusation towards Shi Yin. He didn't know who Shi Yin was, but he knew that Imo Duanhuan valued Shi Yin very much. Just by that, he wouldn't dare to insult Shi Yin. Shi Yin frowned. He pretended as if he didn't hear He Qingman's words. He only dismissively glanced at the charmingly beautiful He Qingman and stayed indifferent. "We can discuss business now." Imo Duanhuan sat up straight and said lightly. In his eyes, He Luo and these people weren't any important figures. They weren't even from the evil Wonderland. In the moment, he was only dealing with them and didn't say much on the feast. Because of He Qingman's outstanding talent, plus she was a strong warrior with potential in the evil Wonderland, her future was boundless. Therefore, Imo Duanhuan took a slight bit of attention with that and only brought up the business about this journey when He Qingman appeared. All right. He Luo smilingly stood up. He glanced at the many warriors in the hall and smiled. "It's quite late now, little brothers. Shouldn't you go back and rest now?" These people were quite understanding. They all stood up when they heard him. With smiles on their faces, they said their goodbyes with Imo Duanhuan and Shi Yin. They actually wanted to stay and listen, But unfortunately, Imo Duanhuan didn't open his mouth to say anything, so they didn't dare to hang on and stay. In a mere moment, these people all left without a trace. Soon, the leftover delicacies and wine in the hall were cleaned up by the He family's maids. Then the unimportant personnel all disappeared too. All that was left was the father and daughter He Luo and He Qingman, sitting firmly in front of Imo Duanhuan and Shi Yin. Why did you come to Firecloud Island? Why do you want to find a 10,000-year-old volcano? He Qingman's eyes were bright. Her sweet voice spoke while staring at Shi Yin. I want to save Xinyan. Shi Yin frowned and said with a deep voice, a 10,000-year-old volcano can save Sister Xinyan? He Qingman's face was filled with disbelief. She shook her head and said in disdain, I have never heard of that. What has awakening the soul got to do with volcanoes? There are a lot of things you haven't heard of. Shi Yin was indifferent, he said lightly. If I said I can save her, then I can. You want to bet? Bet? What are we betting on? He Qingman's interest suddenly surged as her bright eyes sparkled. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.